Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
They're going to go forward on fourth down on their own 25-yard line. Here's the game. Maybe the season for each team. Dak in the gun, 3 left. Ferguson, the tight end, right. CD 4 are left, including CD. Dak chased out of there by Leonard Floyd. Throws down the right sideline. Incomplete. The Niners take over on downs.
Thank you, 49ers Radio. Yes, one season ended last night. It was not the 49ers. They come away victorious. Perloff, stop me if you've heard that one before. The 49ers beat the Cowboys. This one a little closer than in years past. The final score 30-24, but the Cowboys season effectively ended yesterday. Did it not?
What? No, definitely not.
Oh, boy.
Why?
It did.
What did it?
Because they got back into this game last night after they basically no-showed the entire third quarter and allowed the 49ers to score 3 touchdowns in the quarter. They used what you always love to say, the prevent defense, the prevent that the 49ers basically took a little too seriously. Cowboys get back into the game, but ultimately couldn't win it. I know Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence are going to be coming back at some point, but honestly, what makes you think the Cowboys are about to, rip off this tear and go on this hot streak?
Because they're gonna beat the Commanders and they're gonna beat the Eagles.
You don't. By the way, you think that the Eagles have won 3 in a row. They are ascending. The Commanders had the all-time game of all games. If you want a team that could ride some vibes and some momentum, you're not going to get a bigger moment than what the Commanders had yesterday. Meanwhile, the Cowboys fall short. When they get the ball back with 3 minutes left to go, they're down a score. Mm-hmm. That first throw that Dak makes on that final drive for the Cowboys should have been intercepted by 3 different people. That was terrible. Then looking for Jake Ferguson on second down, throws it out of bounds. Then Devontae Turpin can't haul in and catch.
They hit him in the hands. What was wrong with that?
Okay. Couldn't come through. Yeah. And then that Jalen Brooks on fourth down,
he got
hoping
murdered.
For a DPI. You're not getting it in that spot.
You got this Sunday was full of weak DPI calls. There was one earlier in the game that was half the amount of contact. They easily could have gotten that call. Why not?
Terrible strategy.
It wasn't a strategy. I mean, they were trying to throw it to him, but it definitely could have been DPI, and the guy in the back just ran right into him, not the guy in the front who tripped feet with him. You easily could get a defensive pass interference. There were weaker calls. There was one on, I think, Lenore or somebody, number 7 on the Niners, they barely touched the guy, and they threw a flag earlier.
Yeah, Charvarius Ward. Charvarius Ward. I do not. I hated that final drive from the Cowboys. Absolutely despised that final drive. You're going for the home run plays and try to get the DPI. Get a first down. You have 3 minutes, and you burned your timeouts. Yeah, on the plus side of the 2-minute warning, but you still had the 2-minute warning. I just didn't understand why they were going for it on all these big explosive plays when the only explosive plays that had actually been working for you all game long were just wide open touchdowns to CeeDee Lamb that was broken coverage by the 49ers when they were playing prevent anyway.
You understand they were at San Francisco, right?
I do.
So you understand how much easier it is going to be for the Cowboys against any other team in the NFL. 250 yards of Cowboy passing against San Francisco equals 450 against the Eagles. This is the game they always get blown out in. First of all, they got blown out last year,
right,
and then went on a massive run because they started to play the NFC East. That's their jam. They will totally beat mediocre teams.
But are they beating mediocre teams this year?
I think they can.
Well, when are they going to start? Because it's November now.
Well,
This isn't the extended preseason that we're, used to. Oh, the first, couple games, you're still getting used to stuff. No. And by the way, where's the big offensive weapon that's coming back? Not happening. You have Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence. I watched those guys on the field last year against the 49ers. They got blown out. So, none of the big question marks for the Cowboys have been answered, solved, anything. And Dak's bad interception, where Diamador Lenore did intercept that one, that second interception of the game, not tipped, not bobbled, not receiver ran the wrong route, bad throw. And he's got to wear that.
You throw the ball with that. Nick Bosa running around unblocked the entire game, basically unblocked because Terrence Steele is a free run. They had no idea for the first half. They were basically letting a lot of pressure come in on Dak and saying, please save us.
Then you should be mad at Mike McCarthy because
there's no bad.
Nick Bosa has been around for a while.
Well, listen.
We know where he's going to be. Nick Bosa. He's not sneaking up on people.
So you're basically saying there are no acceptable losses for a team like the Cowboys who's hoping to sneak in a somewhat weakened division.
I'm just saying I think their season, as far as the playoffs is concerned, is done. And to be fair, I didn't pick them to go to the playoffs anyway. I just don't see this massive run getting ripped off here. You're going to go to the Falcons. You're going to play the Eagles, the Texans, at the Commanders.
None of those teams scare me.
Okay.
I mean, why? First of all,
you're not seeing the Eagles the way that everyone else is now seeing them after a big win in Cincinnati yesterday.
Don't you feel like the Eagles and Cowboys are going to split?
Maybe. Do you think they're going to win in Atlanta?
I think they have a great chance in Atlanta.
Okay, but that's a chance. That's not going in being confident, and they're not going to be favored in that game.
Yeah, but they're going to be, what, a 2-point dog? Honestly, is Atlanta really blown you away?
Well, they probably just wrapped up the division yesterday because they beat the Tampa Bay Bucks twice. So, yeah, I think they probably, Tampa Bay might be the better team. I don't know, but Atlanta's a factor.
Atlanta, did they get blown out by a Seahawks team that barely showed up against your Bills last night?
The Seahawks are up and down. I don't know what to do with the Seahawks. I really don't. But it's probably good news for the 49ers.
They lost 34-14 to the Seahawks in Atlanta. Like, they have no idea. I just think the NFC is way more wide open than you do. Like, we've learned some things going to midseason, but I think there's one dominant team, and then there is a bunch of flawed teams. A bunch.
Oh, I will definitely agree with you on that. But if I'm looking at one of those flawed teams, at the top of the list is the Cowboys. So I don't know what makes you think that all of a sudden now they're going to start to turn it around. Dak's throwing more interceptions, 8 interceptions this season. He had 9 all of last season. You have, the on-the-field stuff where Jerry Jones criticizing the play design and the play scheme. And yesterday, to be fair, they did get back into the game, but I think that was a little more about San Francisco taking that prevent defense a little bit too far. And ultimately, when the game was on the line, unlike what was able to happen in Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago, different game, different opponent, you come up with 4 plays that I didn't really love any of them. And to be honest, the game should have ended because Dak should have been picked off.
Wow.
And one of those 3 guys who were right there for the 49ers should have just ended that game.
To be honest, the 49ers should have put it away with a couple first downs at the end. The 49ers
totally fair.
Kind of let them in. But Micah Parsons will come back once they pay him, I guess. Is that the deal?
Is that what he's doing?
I don't know. He had a high ankle sprain September 26th. Where is he?
Why did they put him on IR?
Well, because he's not hurt. He had a high ankle sprain. Wow. I have a high ankle sprain and go out and play Saturday morning.
Wait, do you think that thinks he's getting a contract in season?
I don't know I think he's holding out in part with the contract. Yeah, I mean, everybody does, don't they? I assume that was a given because he keeps denying it to the many questions about it. But I don't know what's going on here. If he does come back, he would have made a big difference last night. They had nobody who was scaring anybody on.
Purdy was running.
Purdy was running like crazy. I was thinking about all the Purdy runs. What if you had a defensive end / linebacker who ran a 4.4 chasing you, knocking the ball away? I just think that this is a general disagreement. I think you're writing off the Cowboys too soon. He's 3-4 in today's NFC. That's not like the end of the season.
Yeah, and if they were playing the Titans coming up and they were playing the Carolina Panthers coming up, I'd be like, all right, well, you know what? Maybe they can get right on this. I don't think the rest of the schedule is really favorable for them. And then there's the on-field part of the Cowboys, and because it's the Cowboys, and they lost last night to the 49ers, and that's why we're talking about it, there's also the off-field component of this too, which is, what do you think? Is this going to be better or worse for them moving forward? You have owner getting into it with radio hosts, owner calling out the coach having to defend himself. You've got Trayvon Diggs, and this is the standard for the Cowboys, so I don't even know if you can blame the guy, but before the locker room even opens for the media, so you go into the locker room after the game, you get like a 10-minute cool down period, and then the locker room opens and the media comes in, and they can ask questions. Before the locker room opens, Trayvon Diggs comes out to scream at a TV reporter from Dallas about a tweet that he sent in the third quarter about whether Trayvon Diggs was dogging it on one of the touchdown to George Kittle. And he said, the TV reporter goes, well, would you like to talk about it? And he goes, why don't we talk about D's and you can fill in the blank. I mean, I get being frustrated, but this is the tone that Jerry sets.
By the way,
And it's totally classless. It's completely out of line.
Yeah.
And it just adds more negativity to a team that's already flailing.
I actually thought the team responded well to Jerry being upset. I mean, that was a way better Cowboys effort than we usually get in San Francisco. They were, in the first half, like, yes, they were losing, but I thought their effort was way higher than
what happened after halftime?
Well, San Francisco's got a million weapons and they can run the ball, and Dallas is thin on defense right now. What happened was Isaac Guerrero runs like a 4-2. He's awesome. The Niners running back. I just think they lost to a better team last night, and I'm not criticizing their effort. And Jerry's been a circus forever. Like, what's different about this year? If anything, did you think that the Cowboys look better or worse than they've looked all season? I thought they looked better last night, without a doubt.
So I can't tell how much credit to actually give them for the 2 CeeDee Lamb touchdowns. Because, again, those were broken plays. So good on you for converting. You did it. But I think the 49ers, you're wondering how they blow these double-digit leads in the second half and in the fourth quarter. I think they got a little too relaxed on defense. A little too relaxed.
Yeah, totally. But they lost 42-10 in the same spot last year.
I know, but that's like the equivalent of garbage time stats. That's what I'm saying. When the 49ers all of a sudden had to make it a game, it's like, oh no, here we go. We got to actually come up with a stop here. And the Cowboys helped them out. But
at least it was a game in the second half. I mean, that was nothing like last year. And last year, the Cowboys were a much better team.
So baby steps is what you're saying?
I actually, whatever. I didn't walk away from that game saying, wow, this is a poor effort from the Cowboys. They're toast. I was like, this is a middling team that kind of did their best without their best 2 players on defense. I don't know. I totally read that. I actually was a little bit impressed with their effort. The other thing about the Niners, I'm like, why are you not covering CeeDee Lamb? What's happening here? They only have one play.
The rookies back there, guys are running into each other.
The only player on the Cowboys who ever hurts anybody is CeeDee Lamb. I would put 3 guys on him, and maybe Devontae Turpin gets a big broken play, but generally they are a one-man offense. So that's been their problem for 3 years now, and they've never got a wide receiver 2. But I thought there was some encouragement. And 3 and 4, just on the surface, you're right, their schedule's really tough.
Yeah.
But 3 and 4 on the surface is not dead by any means in today's NFC.
Yeah, I get it. You're not 1-6, but to me, this season feels over. This is funny. You and I see this very, very differently.
Yeah.
I see the Cowboys season is over. You think this was maybe I don't say good loss.
That was some encouraging signs. You got to get Parsons back, and he's got to be like 100% Micah Parsons.
If he's actually holding out because he's hurt, and this is some quiet quit holding thing, then the Cowboys' problems are 100-fold.
I do think, though, think about it from his standpoint. If he's 80% and he doesn't have a contract, do you think that he has an incentive to really get fully healthy? Like, if he had a contract, would he be out there?
Oh my gosh!
That's the NFL. That happens probably every week. Guys are making contract decisions.
Yeah, but this is a superstar and someone who we believe is going to get paid. So even if he went out there and got hurt, Dak Prescott got hurt and ended up getting one of the biggest quarterbacks for contracts for a quarterback ever. Getting hurt now, I don't know if that necessarily takes you out of the big money contract.
That's probably true.
You just don't. If this is true and he's actually holding out, that just means you don't trust the Joneses.
I think holding out is way too strong a word. I think it's a combo. He's like, well, I haven't gotten paid yet. Am I going to go out there at half skill or 80%? Because he has a high ankle sprain. He's probably not able to get off like he used to. And if it was a playoff scenario, do you think he'd be playing? I definitely do. I mean, what is it? I don't even,
his team needs him, though. I mean, let's not think like it's not like this, the Cowboys have such a lead here, or that they're so good that, he can take his time coming back, or they're so bad that he can take his time coming back because I think the season's over, but, they can't admit that. So they kind of need him. This is like the time when you need your stars if they can play, even if they're not 100%, right?
Well, last night would be a good game to take off, though, because he was in San Francisco. That's a tough game. You might as well bring him back for a more winnable game. That's how I see it. I listen. I should work for Jerry. I'm such an apologist here.
Oh, wow.
But obviously, last night was not the perfect situation for Parsons. Because even if you have Parsons, you're in San Francisco at night to a somewhat desperate Niners team. That was going to be a tough game, no matter what happened.
855-212-4227. You letting this one slide from the Cowboys? I'm not. I think their season's over. Perloff says he saw some things. Get them back on the right track. 855-212-4227. We got a lot to get to. As always on Mondays, we're going to try to get to every game. But if we're not talking about the game you saw and you want to talk about, give us a call. 855-212-4227. We're trying to, blanket the whole country here. And Canada. Good morning, Canada.
We want to hear from the D.C. metropolitan area at some point as well.
We have the Hail Mary call in every language, every angle, every aspect. EJ, do we have 5 versions of this call?
I think we're working on 4 right now.
4 versions of this call. You're going to hear every single one of them. I think we're still getting tape in from Kazakhstan. We are going to have this call in every language possible. That was an unreal play. So we've got that for you. We've got major injury stuff with Jordan Love and the Packers that got some people nervous, I'm sure, and our newest affiliate in Milwaukee. So we say good morning to you guys if you want to call in at 855-212-4227. Perloff's Eagles. Tua was back yesterday. And, of course, a whole college slate to react to as well. It's Maggie and Perloff. Don't move. All right, Perloff. NBA is back. We're thrilled because it pairs so beautifully with our new obsession, which is Prize Picks. We love Prize Picks. It's the best place to get real money sports action when you watch football, the NBA. We're going to have college all in our lives now. College basketball, college football, of course, is in full swing. You got to check out Prize Picks. The app is so simple to use. You just pick 2 or more players across any sport, then pick more or less on the projection, and you can win 100 times your money.
Can I tell you a harrowing tale? Last night, I have Dak Prescott under 245.5 yards, ends up with 243. Oh, man, you were mentioning the last drive. Thank God he didn't hit any of those passes. Prize Picks even invented the flex play so you can still cash out if your picks don't hit. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code MNP to get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. That's code MNP on Prize Picks to get a $50 credit instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Must be present in certain states where it's lawful to wager. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Daniels backing up. He's just going to have to let one fly. Goes to the right side. Steps away from the defenders. Gives himself some time. Now steps up, fires. Heads towards the end zone. It is...
All right, welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Maggie, did you get caught screaming at home over that one?
Yeah, if you couldn't tell, that was Commander's radio.
Yeah.
It's like when it sounds like people are hugging each other and jumping up and down at the same time. That was a lot of fun. It was one of those moments where you're either on your couch or wherever you are and you just sit up like, oh my God, you can't help it.
I screamed a curse word really loud and got in trouble in my house, both from my daughter and my wife. They're like, we thought there was like a mouse on the ground or something. You just screamed so loud. That was one of the most bizarre games of the season. 18-15 Commanders win. They should have won earlier. Then the Bears should have won, and then the Commanders should have won, and then the Bears should have won. Both teams were flirting with blowing the game the entire time. 18-15. There was a point where, deep in the second half, where Caleb Williams had 4 completions on the day. Insane game and great ending.
It was like, this is kind of spooky season, Halloween and all that stuff. It felt like this game had some kind of weird curse on it, but I couldn't tell for which team.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I was like, who's actually cursed here? At first it felt like the Bears, and then maybe it was the Commanders, and then it was the Bears again. And it's like, oh yeah, it was actually definitely the Bears. Because there was, as spectacular as the Hail Mary play was, and again, we've got it from every different angle. You hear it a lot this morning on the show because it was so great. But it was also one of the all-time boneheaded play calls I think we've ever seen. I don't know if I don't think it was all time, but like definitely makes the top 100.
The handoff to the lineman.
You are the Bears. Yeah. You're down by 1 score. You get down to the goal line after you've been trailing the entire game. You're about to take the lead, and that's the moment when you decide to do a trick play. You try to go back to the days of Refrigerator Perry, and you hand off to a big man, and it just bounced right off of his stomach. They fumbled, and the drive ended at the goal line.
Well, let's thank God for Shane Waldron, the offensive coordinator, that Tyreek Stevenson, the cornerback, saved the day by having an even dumber play, by not paying any attention to the play starting on the Hail Mary. So it's funny you bring up that call. Honestly, I think it'll be forgotten because of the Hail Mary.
Oh, man. So, yeah, Perloff's talking about Tyreek Stevenson is on the Hail Mary, and you can see he's actually jawing with the Commanders fans. He has no idea the play has started.
Back to the play.
So Jaden Daniels is running around as he did for felt like forever, like 10 seconds to let everyone get in position for the Hail Mary. And Stevenson, so he all of a sudden realizes, oh no, the play has started. I better get myself in position. And he ends up being the guy who tips the ball directly to Noah Brown, who has the easiest catch of his life on a Hail Mary.
2 things about the play. 1, would you just rush more than 3 guys on a Hail Mary? 2nd,
can you send that message to my Buffalo Bills?
Yeah.
Because they got burned last week by a Rodgers Hail Mary.
Also, you have to box out on the Hail Mary. Like, it's Hail Mary 101. you gotta basically account for everybody. They did everything possible wrong. It's such a huge loss for the Bears. It's interesting. There are two ways this could go for the Commanders. You could take it either way, in my opinion, and I'm sure you don't disagree. You disagree with this. It was A, lucky win, and they're going to come back to the pack a little bit, or B, this is a seminal moment in the elite run for the Commanders. I see that win. I was like, ooh, they are definitely a bit more of a flawed team because they've been blowing teams out. This team, I know Jaden was coming back from an injury. This was a different game.
They've won 6 of their last 7. They've found a lot of different ways to win. I think the Commanders, this looks legit to me. If Jaden Daniels can stay healthy, and now they got a little something called luck, which if that was lucky or the Bears were out of position or all the different things that led to them winning that game, every team needs a couple of those if you're going to make it a special season. And to be honest, my expectation for the Commanders, if they make the playoffs in this first season, I think everyone is thrilled. Your Eagles look like the toast of the NFC East. I know the Commanders are in first place. Your Eagles now are coming along, and on paper, you guys have tons of talent.
Nobody is thrilled. And if they just make the playoffs and get blown out in the wild card round, that is not a thrilling outcome. I think expectations have risen.
Well, you had the 2nd overall pick last year. You were not a good team.
I know, but listen, before this game, they were scoring 40 points a game. They were just dominating everybody. I know Eberflus and the Bears have a good defense, but I think expectations have gotten higher there. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like when you basically, like, your 2 losses, you scored a ton of points too. Like, you look like an electric offense. Not last night at all.
I think hanging with the Ravens like they did probably raised some expectations because they're a really good team. And but I still think if you look back on the season, if they do make the playoffs, even if they lose in the first round, I think people say, oh, stepping stone here. Because how often do you even make the playoffs, period, with a rookie quarterback? I know C.J. Stroud kind of turned everything on its head last year, but it's very rare to do that.
It feels like the RG3 season all over again in a sense, and that ended up being an overall disappointment. But they have the Giants coming up and the Steelers, and Giants can't do anything except one thing, murder their quarterback.
Yep.
And the Steelers are even worse. So we'll see. Jaden takes some hits.
He does. 855-212-4227. He's like literally getting treatment on the sideline. Anyway, we've got that Hail Mary call for you 100 different ways. It's like when you order something at a restaurant, it's like, oh, would you like the chicken 2 ways? Like, we're going to have the Hail Mary call 4 ways. D is in Portland, though. D is up first here on Maggie and Perloff. You want to apologize to Perloff, D?
No, I want to apologize to Jalen Hurts.
Oh.
I know it's 6 or 4 or 5 games, but he might have turned the corner. I don't know. He played really good these past couple games, and Perloff, you're wrong, bro. Cowboys suck.
Well, they're not great. But they're not great. Okay.
Dude.
Are you an Eagles fan, D?
Yeah, I am.
But do you remember the 2 games last year? Dak owns the Eagles. Like, he really carves them up every time. It's been like 4 or 5 years of that.
I get that, but what does that have to do? Even if we lose 1 to them, we're still going to have a better record. Like, dude, that last drive, it was 4 pass plays, no run plays at all. You still had 3.5 minutes left.
Wow,
ridiculous play calling.
No, they were not going to call a run play because they have the worst running offense. I mean, that's their big problem. The only reason I'm not taking the Cowboys seriously is because Zeke Elliott and whatever else they put around them, like, they're the worst running team in the NFL.
Yeah, they are bad. But here's the thing about the Eagles. So they've won 3 of their they're won 3 in a row. They've won 4 of their last 5. And here's what they did. Browns 20-16 held the opponent to 16 points. Giants, they held to 3 points. And now the Bengals holding to 17 points. And that's the most impressive one. You're on the road in Cincinnati. And we can talk about the Bengals. Yeah, their defensive front is not what we're used to seeing. But Joe Burrow's still there. Jamar Chase is still there. And you held them to 17 points. That's pretty good, Pearl.
Their defense has been amazing lately. And I'm going to tell all you guys, keep that same energy with Nick Sirianni. You guys have been giving him crap all season. Hey, when he plays good, give him his props, because I've seen other teams, like, for example, Perloff today. Oh, Cowboys, they're okay. Nah, bro, just keep that same energy when we keep winning. All right, I'm out.
D, thank you. Appreciate you. Sirianni, I guess 3-0 since he was jawing at the fans? Or no, that was after a win, so they're 2-0.
I mean, this guy was 10-1 to start the season last year. But here's the thing about Cincinnati. Cincinnati's defense, like who is on their defense? Just to start with that, like what is that defense? I think the Eagles look great. And I've never seen the Eagles like control a line like they did yesterday. And I thought the Cincinnati was going to be way better. Burrow looked actually okay. Like he wasn't terrible. One of the picks was crazy. It was just a bizarre play. I don't know. I'm just not totally there with the Eagles. Sounds like you're getting there.
This was an impressive win. Greg's in Tuscaloosa wants to take us to the college ranks. Greg, you must have been pleased. Alabama homecoming, and they shut out Mizzou.
Absolutely. I loved it. I just wanted to get y'all's opinion on the Alabama defense. It kind of seemed like they turned the page and got back to the defense that we're used to seeing at Alabama.
Yeah, Greg, the tackling was really good. This is my only thing, though, about this game that they played as a measuring stick.
Yeah.
I don't think you know. Now, they looked a lot better in the second half. Greg, thank you. Jalen Milroe comes out of halftime where it was, I think the score was 13-0. So this was by no means a blowout. And Jalen Milroe was just a man possessed in the second half. But Mizzou lost their starting quarterback.
Yeah.
And their backup was awful. At one point, they went to the third string guy. And the only reason I remember this is because his name is so cool. His name is J.R. Blood.
Oh,
And he couldn't
awesome.
even hang. They had to put Drew Pine back in the game just to get destroyed a little bit more. So Mizzou was not fielding a competent offense.
Is Drew Pine the guy who left to play lacrosse and came back, or is that
No.
another Notre Dame quarterback?
That was the other Notre Dame. Drew Pine was a Notre Dame quarterback. He was
Yeah.
also an Arizona State quarterback as a backup.
Quarterback. Who left to play lacrosse? You guys know what I'm talking
That
about?
was a guy from like 2 years ago.
Oh, Tyler Buckner.
Yes.
But honestly, I think I get full credit because Drew Pine and Tyler Buckner are the same exact person.
Well, also Notre Dame won the lacrosse championship, so I don't
Oh,
know.
no
I don't know
way.
if he was the missing piece. And by the way, Notre Dame back in the top 10 after
Well,
putting
yeah.
a real hurting on Navy. Oh, Navy.
And Buckner
It's a great
came
story.
back to the team this year as a wide receiver. He's on Notre Dame as well, I believe. Or he's somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, yeah, he's there. He's there as a walk-on.
Man,
So
Dude.
Drew Pine and Tyler Buckner are still in college football.
talk about big man on campus.
Did they play like the late 2010s? When was Drew Pine the quarterback?
A couple years ago.
Anyway, yeah, Alabama. Now, it wasn't, and I'm sensing this, enough to get Milroe back in the Heisman conversation, but say they, I don't know how, just blow out LSU. Then Alabama's in much better position. That's a big game. That you said test. I mean, they have some tests coming up. If they could get through LSU, then they have a great chance to be in the playoff.
And it still must win. And now after LSU lost at Texas A&M on Saturday night, which is a great game that we'll talk about, what a change of pace for Mike Elko to go back to his backup quarterback and Marcel Reed. That was just a stroke of genius. Now, they were down 17-7, but it just completely put LSU on their heels. So now it's must wins from here on out. Both sides. Manny Rodriguez in with us this morning doing updates. Good morning, Manny.
Good morning, you guys. Football season is here, and PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. Download PrizePicks and use code MNP and get $50 credit instantly when you play $5. Must be present in certain states where it's lawful to wager. And visit PrizePicks.com for restrictions and details. You guys are talking about the Commanders walk-off touchdown. Well, we have that call en español as well.
Aguanta Daniels, no tiene con quién. Ahora sí Daniels a lanzar a lo profundo del terreno de juego. Ahí está la recepción. Touchdown. Touchdown de Washington. Touchdown. Está adentro. Touchdown. Commanders. El Ave María funcionó. Apareció el 85. Tras un rebote, Noah Brown se convierte en el héroe de todo Washington DC.
Well, that was fellow Salvadoran American Moises Linares on the call on Commander's Spanish radio. And since I'm amazing and bilingual, I have the direct translation.
Yeah, give it to us, man.
The Hail Mary, the final 20 seconds, he yells, "The Hail Mary worked. Number 85 showed up. After a deflection, Noah Brown is the hero of all Washington, D.C. Enormous, big Commanders."
Oh, that.
Love it.
I love it.
I didn't hear the word Commanders at the end. Did he say it? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You caught it at the end.
That was the English part, so you weren't even thinking about it.
I got lost in the yelling. That's awesome.
That's Moises Linares. And again, those lungs at these Spanish broadcasters, man.
It's got to be is this some type of school that they're all going to, that they're learning this? Because whether it's soccer, whether it's football, I imagine the baseball calls are similar too.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if Ricky Ricardo does it here for Yankees
But
Spanish.
ESPN Deportes, growing up listening to it, a lo profundo! It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Unfortunately for the Bears, Caleb Williams, he went 10 for 24, 131 yards through the air, no touchdowns, no picks. DeAndre Swift, 18 carries, 129 yards, 1 touchdown on the ground in the loss. Guys, it's the first game this century in which both teams score a touchdown in the final 30 seconds.
I don't understand. Is Caleb Williams good?
Yes.
He wasn't good yesterday. We can agree on that.
His scrambling is amazing.
Amazing?
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah, he's going to be good. I don't think he's great yet.
He's got a way of things are going bad, and then he'll find a way to still make some wow plays when they need to. I mean, they were right at the doorstep there. They should have won this game.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened because I don't know how DeAndre Swift broke out for that long run. Otherwise, it felt like they were going to get shut out yesterday. It really felt like they were going to end up on 0. And if you're a great quarterback, how can you be that ineffective all game?
Well, he's still a rookie on the road.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah, but Jaden Daniels does not look like a rookie. That's what I think. I mean, are we even getting the point? Like, we're comparing who's better. Right now, Jaden Daniels is better, but he's older than him. So, I don't know. Would the draft have gone differently? Gosh,
are we already asking that?
I can't believe I just asked it. Yeah, I mean, I think it would, though.
I don't think so.
I think a lot of Jalen Daniels stuff, too, is like how sustainable is this running?
With the health.
Right. That's a big question.
I mean, as far as
mark.
arm, though, I mean, Jaden Daniels definitely ahead of him. I mean, like, he could drop a 50-yard pass into a can of corn. I mean, that guy's arm is unbelievable.
It is. I mean, and he wound up for the Hail Mary, and it got there. I just think when I watch Caleb Williams, I'm not like, man, that guy really needs to work on his arm strength.
I just think but accuracy and everything. I think Jaden Daniels was way ahead of him right now. I don't think that's a hot take. I mean, Jaden Daniels was in the MVP conversation for part of the season. Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. You wonder about the durability with Daniels, but the thing about it also, I'm not sure Shane Waldron is the right marriage for Caleb Williams. Like the offense just feels like it's really hard. You know what I'm saying? Like he has to break like 3 tackles and spin around and then find Cole Kmet.
It's not coming as easy as maybe people thought.
He's working so hard to get these plays, and it was awesome in the fourth quarter. But generally, like, gosh, why is this so difficult?
Well, they also kind of do the thing that normal rookies do, which is they lose on the road and they win at home. I mean, that's kind of one of them. I know they were obviously in
London
England
for the last
one
game,
of them.
but they won 2 in a row prior to that at home.
Yeah, and they're 0-3 on the road. It's like it's just kind of classic rookie stuff to me, not red flag stuff.
No, absolutely, you're right. Not red flag stuff, but he's been good where Jaden Daniels has been outstanding. Even yesterday, Jaden Daniels had some moments and some throws that were like, wow, that guy's good. I understand the durability issues. I'm curious how this plays out. We were talking about they moved that game to 4:00, moved by Eagles Bengals off of 4:00, moved that to 1. Now this is the Commanders and the Bears are a primetime game or a standalone game. What is happening?
Life comes at you fast.
What is
bro.
happening?
You got
the
flexed
Commanders
out.
and the Bears.
It was Tony Romo and Nance.
I know. And meanwhile, poor Tom Brady was stuck trying to watch a rainy Bills Seahawks game.
Well, he watched a lot of good stuff. Some bad. We'll
a
get
lot
to that
of good
game
stuff. What do you
for
mean?
The Bills.
Oh, I thought you meant he had a different game on the TV because I don't know where he was seeing this good stuff.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Seattle really up and down. Can't figure them out. DK Metcalf being out of that game obviously was a huge difference maker. Bills don't have anyone who can hang with DK Metcalf in the secondary. But, Manny, back to you.
A couple more NFL scores. The Lions, they cruise over the Titans 52-14. The Patriots, they beat the Jets 25-22. And the Chiefs, they survive against the Raiders 27-20. To the NBA, the Clippers, they beat the Warriors 112-104. Steph Curry left the game early in the fourth quarter after suffering a sprained ankle. Curry did undergo an MRI last night, but results are not yet public. Warriors head coach Steve Kerr described the injury as, quote, mild or moderate, close quote. The team is bracing for Curry to miss time, possibly several games. And lastly, in the NBA, after A game after being held scoreless at Madison Square Garden by the Knicks, Tyrese Halliburton, he scores 10 points in a Pacers loss to the Sixers, 118-114. Tyrese Maxey, he scored 45 points in 48 minutes as Perloff's Philadelphia 76ers pick up win number 1 of the new season.
Thank you, Manny. Clap your hands, everybody.
A lot of minutes.
Philadelphia. There is only one NBA story, in my opinion, that matters,
of them.
matters at all today. It has nothing to do with the scores. You read them beautifully, and you give us the news, which is your job. The Dwayne Wade statue.
Oh,
we'll get to it later
I
on.
thought you were talking about the baby monitor situation between Brandon Ingram and Anthony Simons. That was also.
That was.
Oh, jeez Louise.
That was only sports, man, can give us something like that. With the shorthand is that one guy hit a game winner over another guy, and they both have a child by the same woman. Only sports.
And one seemed very happy to remind everybody that he hit the shot over the other guy.
It never gets old, ladies and gentlemen. You want your soap opera? We got it for you right here. And even though the Dwayne Wade statue thing is a bit more of a visual and we are a radio show, we will find ways to accurately describe the absolute mess that is the latest statue for one of our sports heroes. That one's ugly. 855-212-4227. Yes.
I feel like they're all ugly now. Like the average statue that comes out, I mean, to me, the ugliest one was Cristiano Ronaldo, obviously, but they're all bad. What is the deal with these statue makers?
To be honest, if someone now offered a statue for me, I'd be like, no thanks.
Yeah.
I can't risk it. I cannot risk it.
All of the sculptors that graduated through Zoom are finally getting jobs. That's what happened.
Like, are you guys are you blind? What was the photo you could have possibly used to get to that?
I grew up with two great statues. The Rocky statue is amazing in Philadelphia, and the Dr. J statue is pretty good too.
Yeah, where are those guys? Can we get those guys in?
I don't know. Yeah, and then even if the statue's okay, like Kobe, then the stats are wrong on it.
Or Al Iverson, the miniature. Remember, he has that 2-foot statue outside the Sixers
It's
facility.
tiny. Yeah, we're just not nailing it with the statues right now. We are not in our statue era. This is not good. 855-212-4227. Lots more football to get back to. We have World Series stuff to bring you up to speed on. Are we crossing one contender off the list after yesterday? We'll tell you next. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
One more terrible penalty. Yesterday, sometimes Perloff and I just sit in the breaks and talk about all the terrible penalties that we see in a weekend of college football. And it's not like egregious ones like the Vikings and the Rams type stuff with Sam Darnold face mask, going back to that. This is just, you getting to delay a game on a 2-point conversion if you're the Jets. All these offensive line penalties for the Colts. I mean, just so many bad penalties.
Did you see that I saw on Pro Football Talk, they're going to review whether you can, or they're going to talk about whether you can review face masks after that play.
Yeah, the Sam Darnold rule.
If you actually watch college, because obviously college is even worse than the NFL.
Yeah.
The Ohio State Nebraska game was pure and total chaos. The officials had no control of the game, made terrible call after terrible call. I was like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. They had no idea what to do.
Yeah, that was a crazy game because Nebraska and their freshman phenom quarterback, Dylan Raiola, he's like baby Mahomes. He looks exactly like him, like literally, physically. Same haircut, same sunglasses. He's doing like karaoke Mahomes. Had a chance to win the game in the horseshoe and threw a bad interception. But just the fact that Nebraska, were they a 2-touchdown underdog, 3-touchdown underdog in that game? It just got blown out by Indiana the week before. They had Ohio State on the ropes.
Kind of. I never felt.
They took the lead in the fourth quarter, Perloff. That happened.
I just feel like, yes, but I never felt like Ohio State was going to lose that game for some reason. Because also Raiola took massive, massive sacks, like gigantic long sacks. They didn't really move the ball. Like Nebraska did not get a lot of yards in that game. Ohio State should have won that game easily. I don't know what's going on with Ryan Day and the guys.
No, this was not an encourage victory. And by the way, you go to Penn State this weekend. You're in Happy Valley.
Well, then you get into the James Franklin thing. Like,
they turned it on against Wisconsin, who had been playing very well.
But we all know the record against top 10 teams for James Franklin is bad.
Not good. They also have a quarterback situation going on with Penn State, but Ohio State's got a quarterback situation going on. Like,
he's okay. Will Howard's actually pretty good. I don't know how they did not blow out. I don't know what happened. I have no idea.
Yeah, this was tough.
They didn't, I saw Ryan Day in the mid-game interview said, we cannot run the football. Like, and why can't they run the football? They have two great running backs, and their O-line is supposed to be good, and it's just not.
I was wondering, was it a trap game? Where they, you're coming off,
Definitely.
You had the loss to Oregon, which you obviously have to process a lot, and all the self-inflicted wounds that happened there. And then you got this looming date with Penn State where you're going on the road. Was this just did they overlook Nebraska? And they almost paid the price for it.
You wish that you wouldn't do that coming out of a bye, though. Like, you didn't play last week. You think that, okay.
Refocus.
Yeah, refocus, re-energize, get guys more healthy. I know they lost the tackle yesterday, too, or Saturday, too.
Yeah. I think the backup went out also.
Yeah. And I just, that was discouraging to me.
For Ohio State, for sure. Let's head to the phones. 855-212-4227. Back to pros. Ronnie's in Birmingham, Alabama. Big Niner fan. You didn't like what you saw last night, Ronnie.
No, I didn't. It's just two quick questions. I'm going to be real quick out y'all way. I want to know what's you guys' opinions. I feel like Kyle Shanahan is kind of losing his touch, and at some point his job is going to be in jeopardy because this is the same coordinator that was with the Falcons when they won the Super Bowl against the Patriots that blew a lead. Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback, and we were up 7 minutes, and he was throwing the ball. And that interception swung a complete momentum of that. And then this past Super Bowl, we come out the half and go 3 possessions, 3 and out, all passing plays. What goes on with his play calling sometimes?
Ronnie, fair point.
Yeah.
We'll relitigate Kyle Shanahan's resume anytime you want, and thank you for the phone call. I don't know is today the day to criticize Kyle Shanahan.
There was a 3rd and 1 call where Purdy, at the end of the game, that he probably could have run the ball a little more because they were really running effectively last night. He did do a little Kyle Shanahan. I mean, I think they had almost 500 yards last night. They were just tearing the Cowboys apart. But at the end, he let the Cowboys back in with some play calling. I think he took the foot off the pedal a little bit. The one thing about the story this year is Kyle Shanahan is everyone has partly figured out the Kyle Shanahan offense, right? Because most of the league runs it, and now the defensive coordinators have adjusted. Isn't that what everyone has been saying?
Well, yes, because there's so many Shanahan acolytes who are now spread throughout the entire NFL because all of his assistants keep getting hired. So they all kind of know the secret sauce. And to be fair to Shanahan and maybe John Lynch, that was the whole idea behind drafting Trey Lance. They thought that people were catching up to the offense. They thought, all right, well, now we'll just have the super mobile quarterback, and now no one's going to know what hit him. Turns out Brock Purdy, way better fit, but
also
as
super
much
mobile.
As Brock can run. I know he's a good athlete out there. By the way, he needs to slide. Can you get someone from the San Francisco Giants or something to come and teach this dude? He has to know. He's going diving head first. Dude, protect your head.
Sometimes the quarterbacks slide, and they don't know what they're doing, and they feel like they're going to tear up their leg on the slides. But generally, he went head first. I know the play you're talking about, but no one hit him. It was giving himself up.
He just continues to go head first. Anyway, Purdy's legs have become a weapon. Yeah. You're right. I thought what happened with San Francisco, and I think this may have just have been happening in the 2 games where they blew 10-point leads in the fourth quarter. Both of those were division games. I think the defense gets too lax.
They just lay back too much, go a little prevent mode.
I think it's too much, though. Because you let the Cowboys get back into that game with just 2 big drives, both ending in CeeDee Lamb touchdowns. I think one was a 60-yard drive, then a 70-yard drive. I get it. You give up yards for the underneath stuff, but then all of a sudden in the red zone, you're supposed to tighten up a little bit.
For me, it comes down to one thing with this team, and it's special teams. You mentioned 60-yard drive. Why was it a 60-yard drive? Because this stupid kicker kicked it right out of bounds. Every single game, their special teams is putting them in peril of losing. And if they do that in the playoffs, then there's no return to the Super Bowl.
Apparently, Jake Moody is supposed to be back in a couple weeks.
It's not that. It's everything.
Tackling.
They just is completely undisciplined on special teams.
You're right. 855-212-4227. A lot of undisciplined play yesterday. See you guys on the phones. Again, we're going to try to get to everything, but if you want to talk about your game, 855-212-4227, college, pro, the World Series, we've got it all, including a mega star who has come under some major scrutiny. Got that for you next. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
San Francisco makes it 4 straight against the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. That one got a little dramatic at the end with Dak Prescott had a chance to lead the Cowboys down the field, Pearl, to win the game, and couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. 4 downs, 4 passes. 1 should have absolutely been intercepted. 1 probably should have been caught. That would have been the 3rd and 10, but it wasn't. And then trying to go for either defensive pass interference or something on the 4th and 10, and it was just not to be.
Do you know what's an ill-fated Cowboys pass play? One that does not land in CeeDee Lamb's arms. I mean, honestly, I love Kevontae Turpin, but he had no chance on that deep ball. It actually was a beautiful pass by Dak. And then the last play, I will say there was at least a chance for DPI. Obviously, there was a chance.
There's always a chance in this NFL.
Because the NFL, the cornerbacks are so lazy about, I mean, there's so much hand fighting. It's tough on the officials. They probably correctly did not throw the flag. But that game, I guess, could have ended differently. It didn't matter. I mean, getting into the end zone was not going to happen for the Cowboys. You know why I know that? Because every other time against the Niners in this situation, they did not have that successful last drive.
No, they had 2 touchdown passes to CeeDee Lamb in the 4th quarter, got the Cowboys back in, but it kind of felt like just the 49ers just totally relaxed and all of a sudden had to be like, oh no, a game broke out. Here we are. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I would say this was probably a good last stand for the 49ers defense. They did not throw it to CeeDee Lamb on the final 4 plays of this game. Should have been intercepted on first down. Then it was Jake Ferguson, Turpin, as you said, and Jalen Brooks was the last-ditch effort. So
I'm going to look at the all-22 later, but I'm assuming there were about 5.5 guys on CeeDee Lamb.
As there should be. But
Yeah,
Dak couldn't even find an open guy.
Can we talk about it? So last night was the breakout game for Ezekiel Elliott. I think, what do you have, 30 yards? I mean, it's sad. I'm sorry, like when you tell the story of the Cowboys this year, it's going to start and end with not signing Derrick Henry. I know that sounds stupid. Just one player does not make all that difference. But how they card out Ezekiel Elliott and Dalvin Cook in the year 2024, they just cannot run the ball in any real way. So that means Dak is getting teed off on all the time.
It's amazing to have this kind of miscalculation on a year when you said, oh, we could just go into the season with any kind of running back.
Yeah.
We're going to be fine. And this ends up becoming the year of the running back. You know,
Yeah.
The running backs
Great
become
point.
super important. And also, Rico Dowdle didn't play in this game because of an illness, but there's some question marks on whether that was...
Oh, I don't know. He looked healthy.
The severity of that. Listen, people were saying on social media, respected people, Ed Werder, others, you know, you have Rico Dowdle out signing autographs before the game. If you're that sick, why are you doing that? Listen,
Yeah, also, are you contagious?
well, yes. I mean, that would be a great question. They're outside. I don't know if that matters, but yeah, it's not good. It's not good for Dallas. I'm predicting that the season is big time over. Now, we should give some credit because the Green Bay Packers, on the flip side of things, going down to Jacksonville, okay, they're a much better team than the Jaguars, but anytime, Perloff, your quarterback gets hurt, like happened yesterday, all of a sudden it's just a wild card. So Malik Willis, who has appointed himself very nicely while Jordan Love was absent and injured earlier in the season, he comes in, they're able to close out the game against the Jaguars. But I want you to listen to Matt LaFleur, the head coach of the Packers, on Jordan Love's injury. Now, it's not the knee. It's not the knee that he hurt in Brazil in the season opener against Perloff's Eagles. Now it's a groin issue. Here's Matt LaFleur.
No idea. But obviously, high level of concern anytime a guy is in there. And he did it early in that first drive. And I think everybody could see him struggling to move around. And it got to a point where we didn't feel like, and he didn't feel like he could protect himself. So went with Malik.
Yeah, they pull off a last minute victory, 30-27. It was dicey, but this is the big thing. Okay, you escape with a win over the Jags. Good for you. Way to keep things moving. You got the Lions coming up this week, Perloff. We know these are the 2 best teams in the division, and I mean, no disrespect to the Vikings, but these look like the 2 best teams in the division, and everything's going to come down to these games, and now you've got to hobble Jordan Love.
I sit him. Just throw this one out. If it's questionable. I mean, he stayed out there with the groin injury, so you think he could play and he'll probably try and play. The dude came back so fast from a knee injury. Obviously very tough, but you have a bye after this, so you can afford to rest him for 3 weeks. It looks like he needs it. I would consider sitting him. I doubt they will, unless the groin injury is worse than I think. I think he'll play. But this is going to be a very tough game if he's on 100%. I will tell you, you mentioned the year of the running back. That's why I'm not counting out the Packers at all, because Josh Jacobs is a perfect marriage with that team.
Okay, so one thing, though, about the Packers who face the Lions next week that you just have to consider, okay? These are two teams that are going to be duking it out. And listen, maybe the Lions are just the better team, and maybe they're going to win this division. It doesn't matter. But the Packers are right there, and this is the Packers' home game. This is the one in Lambeau. You know, the one in Detroit, do you feel like that one, it's like, all right, if you're going to split with these guys, don't you have to do everything you can to try to win this game at Lambeau Field?
I don't know. I mentioned home field earlier, but is home field a thing anymore? It seems like it's less important these days. I think I got to double check this. I think they got killed at home by the Lions last year and then got them in Detroit last year.
Yeah, they did.
So, I'm not too worried about that. You got to look big picture. I feel like the Packers and the Lions are at the point where there's only one goal, and that's to get to the Super Bowl. So the big question is, what's better for our long-term health?
I'll tell you what, for the Packers, this is not a cupcake back half of the schedule here. You got Detroit, then the bye week, as Pearl said.
Yeah.
Then you're at Chicago. Then you got the 49ers. We'll see if Miami can get their you-know-what together by November 28th. That's going to be a Thanksgiving game. Then you're at Detroit, at Seattle. I know yesterday the Seahawks didn't play well, but that's generally a tough place to play. So you got some big games coming up.
I mean, I think you're going to be measured against your NFC North opponents. They, talent-wise and maturity-wise, they should be able to beat the Bears twice, but those are going to be battles. I mean, that rivalry, the first taste of Caleb Williams, because they've owned the Bears. Obviously, usually that's 2-0. We'll see how that works. Jordan Love has taken that mantle from Aaron Rodgers, the ownership. There was a passing of papers. That, to me, is a big test. All they have to do, the Packers just have to get in and survive Jordan Love. Although Malik Willis, is he our favorite player or what? Just that little guy's out there making plays.
So Perloff loved Malik Willis before the draft. When I say loved him.
He was at the Combine and he gave all his clothes to a guy on the street. It was the most heartwarming Combine moment of all time.
That really was. And there's not many heartwarming Combine moments, I guess. But that was definitely a top 5, I guess. You loved Malik Willis, and then he just dropped like a stone, sunk in the draft. And then
third round. That's not.
Well, we thought he was going to be a first rounder.
Yeah, that fell apart toward the end. Like, it became clear he wasn't going to be a first rounder. The fact that he was a third rounder is actually pretty good, because he did not look like that at first.
And by the way, he was wallowing away. Not wallowing, but he was wasting away.
He looked terrible in Tennessee.
Yeah,
he looked terrible there. I was like, oh, that was a wasted third round pick.
And it was like 3 weeks before the season. All of a sudden, Green Bay's like, he's our backup. And
they saw
great.
something. They saw something.
Good for them.
They are really interesting, because Josh Jacobs, if he can control the ball, the defense needs to play a little better. I think that Jacksonville's the best bad team in the NFL. Like, Trevor Lawrence still throws some beautiful passes. You're shaking your head. Like, their offense is still super explosive when they want to be. They're not going to win any games because they are poorly coached and kind of a mess. But that was a really fun game.
Yeah, you get the sense, would they have won that game with a different coach? I don't know. Christian Kirk also broke his collarbone, right? Christian Kirk broke his collarbone. Okay, you're welcome to weigh in. We're on in Milwaukee. We're back on in Milwaukee, and we're so thrilled to be back on Milwaukee radio. So I'd love to know from the Packer fans, how nervous are you with Jordan Love's latest injury? Again, you got the Lions game looming next week. David is in Maryland. I'm so glad someone from Maryland called in. David, go ahead first. Ask your question, and then I have a question for you.
Well, actually, it's not so much a question, but I just want to talk a little bit about the Ravens-Browns game yesterday.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. I think the Ravens had a letdown after beating Tampa Bay. And here's the problem with my team, the Ravens, and it's been problematic, not just yesterday, but earlier this year, against the Raiders. Seems like we always take these relatively bad teams. I'm not saying Cleveland's a real bad team at 2-6, but they're a relatively bad team, and this game should have been winnable for the Ravens. But when you go in there, just you take for granted, and you don't have the intensity that you have against some of the good teams, you end up losing these games. I knew before the game started this was a trap game.
Yep.
I knew the Ravens probably wouldn't have an opportunity to win because of the unfortunate situation of taking the bad teams for granted. But
yeah, David,
as a Ravens fan, I like to see them try to play the game right and hard every game, and don't let up just because you're playing a 1-6 team. And they've been problematic doing that. like against the Raiders
David,
earlier this year, and
here's
even
the
against
thing.
the Chiefs this year. I thought, as good as the Chiefs are, I thought that should have been a winnable game, the first game, only because they decided to call him out on the toe.
Yeah,
no,
David, it was. Wait, hold on. I got to put you on hold for a second. I want to ask David a question, but I got to be able to get one word in edgewise here, which is the Ravens defense does not look like the Ravens defense. And even with all that said, Pearl, Kyle Hamilton had a chance to just flat out end this game, and he dropped an interception.
How many dropped interceptions were there? Jameis threw the
100.
ball. He hit the Ravens in square in the numbers at least 4 times. It was incredible. Like whoever is designing the gloves for the Ravens defenders needs to go back to the lab because they cannot catch anything. They obviously should have won that game. Jameis was great, but he definitely threw it straight at the Ravens multiple times and did not get picked off.
Without a doubt. And that was, Cleveland. Is it back on in Cleveland now? Should they have just listened to the fans? You could have done this 3 weeks ago. Maybe you'd actually still be in the playoff hunt. Oh, wait. I want to go back to David for a second. David, you still there? I have a question for you. Because in the other game in the D.C. area, you had the Washington Commanders pull off an all-time epic Hail Mary to beat the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I saw
and David, I said to EJ and Perloff last night, they should call it the Delmarva Miracle. And they both said, what's Delmarva?
Right, that was a fantastic game. I knew he was going to catch the ball. Jalen Daniels is really a great
but David,
quarterback.
you know what Delmarva is, right? You've heard of this?
Yes, I live right near there.
Yeah, it's Delaware, Maryland, Virginia. Delmarva. They call it the Delmarva area, and you guys never had heard this before in your lives?
I heard DMV. That's what
DMV.
When I talked to my fiance who's from Maryland, she refers to it as a DMV.
The DMV, okay.
Which is DC, Maryland, Virginia, which I think was me and Perloff's issue, because is Delaware really part of that? We thought Delaware was more Pennsylvania.
What does Andrea say? Because I didn't know about this.
I forgot to ask her last night. When we did that, she was walking the dog. But now, hopefully, I can text her this morning and she can.
So I didn't know about this, but I went to college in Washington, D.C., and that's where I first heard the term the DMV, which yes, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, but also Delmarva. And Perloff, you got really territorial. You're like Delaware's Eagles country.
Well, yeah, I'm reading, and David said he lives near there. I'm reading it's an actual place. It's the peninsula that juts off, so it's not the entire metropolitan area. You know how it's shaped there?
Yeah.
So are you sure that
Chesapeake Bay?
Yeah, that it's considered the Washington. Yeah, is that?
I thought anyway.
Maybe David can. Is David still there?
Yeah, he's still there. David,
is it just the peninsula or the entire 3-state area?
Well, you got the peninsula, you got, Salisbury, Maryland, and you got, I know you've all heard of Salisbury, Maryland, Ocean City, Maryland. Everybody loves to come here, for the, summertime, and, you got, Delmar and some of these other places up here and Whaleyville. Yeah, it's a great place, Ocean City's actually, one of the, about 35 miles from where I live. It's one of the best beaches,
David, I'm going to be honest. The more you're talking, you sound like Mel Kiper. Does anyone tell you that?
No, they never have.
He's also from Maryland, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he is, yeah.
Oh, man, David, you've got a future as maybe a Mel Kiper impersonator. That was great. Solid call all the way around. Thank you.
So I Googled Delmarva. The Delmarva Peninsula, also known as the Eastern Shore, embraces the state of Delaware and the Eastern Shore counties of Maryland and Virginia, bounded on the west by the Chesapeake Bay and on the east by the Atlantic Ocean. It compromises a distinct geographical region. I never heard of it. I guess I haven't really been there. I've been to Annapolis. Is that part of Delmarva?
They're calling it the Maryland Miracle for now. That's fine, but I thought Delmarva could have been cool. Let's go to Joe. He's in California with a thought on the weekend from the college ranks. Hey, Joe.
How you doing today? I just called to see, a couple of weeks ago, me and you both picked Deion if we would pick for a coach, me looking for a head coach. So I was calling to think about Deion now.
I mean, how about Deion in Colorado, Joe? Bowl eligible, so 6 wins. It's a success. The season has been a success. Thank you for the phone call and pointing that out. Shedeur and Travis Hunter are fantastic. It's been, by all accounts, besides all the off the field, Deion going back and forth with the media, all that, just football-wise, Perloff, this has been a successful season for Colorado. I don't know how you could paint it otherwise.
Well, I mean, yeah, you beat Cincinnati Bearcats. Let's treat this like it was, I don't know, Georgia beating TCU 65-7. Like, honestly, like the hype, everybody jumps off and on the Colorado bandwagon. Aren't people's ankles breaking? Like, this was a win over Cincinnati. I think the hype is getting back up. Somebody called it the biggest game in Colorado franchise history during the game because, like, they're now bowl eligible. I'm like, okay, you're beating some average teams. Let's see it against the good teams down the road. You have a couple of more substantial games. So honestly, yes, I just think the hype machine is getting revved up again. I saw it last year. I just wonder if it's all real.
Haven't they won a national championship, by the way? How is it the biggest win ever?
They kept talking about the bowl eligibility like it was a huge deal yesterday, which is good. And yeah, no, it's been a great story. But I think that people are like really poised to call this Deion thing at the biggest success in all of college football. It kind of feels like there can't be any it's a nice win over the Cincinnati at home. There can't be any of that talk with Colorado. It's got to be hyperbole.
Okay, well, they won 4 games last year. Now they've won 6. They won 1 game the year before Deion got there. So this is obviously, they're on the right path. It's a good trajectory.
Well, except for the fact that Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter are leaving after this year.
So I think that's the thing, right? This is why this is unlike any other, 6-win team that we generally talk about, is because Shedeur and Travis are so good. I mean, how about Travis Hunter, my preseason Heisman pick, with over 100 yards receiving and 4 pass breakups? I mean, it's an impossible thing to sustain. But Perloff, when it's right with Travis Hunter, it is right. And, Shedeur should be talked about more with the Heisman. He really is a fantastic quarterback. Yeah, I know it's Cincinnati. This is not Sauce Gardner's Cincinnati. But at the same time, he's delivered. This is going to be the offseason of Shedeur, and who and how high is he going to be drafted?
Yeah, I just saw there was a new draft ranking on Matt Miller. ESPN had Shedeur as the top quarterback, but he was number 10. So I'm curious, he's probably the best quarterback right now, but is he a number 1 overall kind of guy? That is, I think, TBD. Usually, if you're the 10th best player and you're a quarterback, you go number 1.
Yeah, but this quarterback class is not really shaping up to be like what we saw last year with 6 guys going in the first round.
No, I think you'll get 3 or 4.
Wow. Well, we've got a long time to talk about that, but Shedeur definitely should be more in the mix. Let's go to Big Easy, who's in New Orleans. Cha-ching, Big Easy, another winner for your wife last week.
Good morning, Maggie and Perloff. Yes, she decided to go ahead and play your Bills this week because she was just really happy about the win this past weekend I told you about.
Yeah, let's recap it for the audience. You guys had your anniversary, right? 20 years.
Yeah, and 20th anniversary, and I won on that, but she wanted to play your Bills this week because she started listening to the show in the mornings when she has a coffee now that she wants to hear your show and see what it's all about. She can't understand a couple things. I had to explain to her. She's like, why does Perloff hate his team so much? Well, I said it's complicated. He's a Philly fan.
It's not complicated. I'm a Philly fan.
Enough said. Yeah.
And she's like, well, she understands that you don't bet on your teams and so forth, but she really likes your show. Well, and she did bet. She did win. She doesn't understand why she's got to play a VIG because so if you want to win 100, you got to pay 55. And I talked for at least 10 minutes about a VIG.
Yeah.
Haven't done that in a long time. But, she loves the show now, and she listens with her coffee in the morning. I did have Washington. I fell off the chair. I had played both teams this past weekend, and it was really a hard Saturday for me because LSU lost. Yeah. The Swifties were everywhere, and it was just it was a tough weekend for me, So I was glad to finish the weekend.
Well, Big Easy and now Mrs. Big Easy, thank you so much for continuing to support the show. That LSU loss, Big Easy, that's tough. We're going to get more into it, but Texas A&M made a big change at halftime, bringing in the backup quarterback, and it just seemed like it put LSU on their heels. Nussmeier, the quarterback for LSU, who was in the Heisman conversation, Perloff throws 3 interceptions in that game, so that wasn't going well. And yes, I did see the Swifties taking over Bourbon Street. Taylor Swift in town, which means the Swifties were out in full force. I've never seen like a 9-year-old in the middle of Bourbon Street singing Taylor Swift songs. Did anyone else catch this?
No.
Does not sound like the most safe situation.
Well, it was daytime.
I'll repeat. Does not sound like no safe situation.
Yeah.
They get lit at New Orleans 24/7.
You're right. It's very much feels like a part of the culture, although we're generally more in the touristy areas when we do go there. But yeah, Swifties in full effect. A little different vibe on Bourbon Street when it's the Swifties.
Yeah, I wouldn't call Bourbon Street Disneyland. Let's just call it that.
Think Taylor Swift's ever had a grenade?
Honestly, probably.
Probably. She parties a little bit in her off time, right? We always see her in the Chiefs game, drinking wine, chugging beers and stuff.
Well, I was at my fiance's best friend's house yesterday for football Sunday, and there was a lot of conversation about Taylor, her lack of interest, it seems, to be hanging out with Brittany Mahomes anymore.
Oh, really?
I mean, when's the last time you seen them together?
Politics, right?
Maybe she kind of used her as like a welcome to the team.
Got to make nice with the quarterback's wife.
Yeah, and then as soon as that's over, you're like, all right, out of here.
They were together at the U.S. Open. That wasn't that long ago.
Yeah,
the tennis one.
I mean, I've never seen four people together, and it felt like one person was so far away from the rest of the crew as Taylor was.
One thing about that, so now we're getting into their stuff, but so Brittany Mahomes is pregnant. And I've been that pregnant person around people who are partying, and you do feel like you're a million miles away. It's like, I'm not even on the same wavelength as anybody. I'm here. My ankles are swollen. I'm fat. I'm bloated. You know? You don't feel like partying.
Taylor should date a 49er because George Kittle's wife starts the party. I mean, that is a team where the wives are tight. Or girlfriends are tight. I don't know. It's actually wife, partner.
The Wags.
Yeah, I think she has the wrong team because you're right. There's a lot going on with the Mahomes family. I get it. But all of a sudden, Travis Kelce's back.
He is back, and the Chiefs beat the Raiders yesterday, 855-212-4227. Okay, lots to get to. Every Monday, we do the M&P 500. Whose stock is up and whose stock is down after a big weekend? We'll tell you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining.
Maggie's a Raiders fan, silver and black. Watches Maggie and Perloff, never off track. He's cheering for Vegas all season long, but there's a twist in this song that's gone wrong. Oh, Peter Bloody, where did you go? You're like a ghost in the studio. Artie's here cheering, all Raiders pride, but Peter's missing again.
45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The M&P 500 on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, welcome back, Maggie Perloff Show. Stock up and stock down from an extremely busy sports weekend. Maggie, get us started. Whose stock is up?
Stock is up for the Washington Commanders. Let's hear it again. We're going to play it for you all morning long. Commanders, Bears, the top two picks in this past year's draft. It was a weird game, and it ended with a crazy Hail Mary from the Washington team.
Here comes the Hail Mary with the game on the line, and the ball is caught! Caught! It's a miracle! It's Noah Brown! Oh, my goodness! This town is going crazy! It's a madhouse in Landover, Maryland! He did it!
Awesome. Amazing Jim Nantz call. Romo almost nailed it. She's got to lay out just a little bit more, Tony, but we're getting there. Incredible. And Commanders have won 6 of their last 7, and the vibes couldn't be better in D.C. after they were terrible for, 20 years.
Yeah. Okay. I'm stealing something from you, Maggie, for my first stock up. You called it the year of the running back earlier in the show. I agree. And there is one running back who stands above all else. There's one. It just makes me so happy to watch this guy because it reminds me of when I was a kid watching Billy Sims and Barry Sanders. Jahmyr Gibbs is the superstar in the NFL.
I thought you were going to go with Barkley. Saquon Barkley.
No. Saquon Barkley's good. Jahmyr Gibbs is utterly spectacular. He is average. He had a 70-yard run, but he averaged 11.5 yards per carry. He is, to me, the special sauce of the NFL right now. Like, I'd put him in primetime every game. Every time he touches it, you have no idea which way he's going to move. I love Saquon Barkley, but he's not maybe early rookie Saquon Barkley. Jahmyr Gibbs moves 3 ways at once. He's like the Matrix. I am infatuated with this dude. Obviously, the Lions, 52-14 over the Titans. Afterwards, Dan Campbell said we didn't even play our A game, but they are so much fun, right? It's like Greatest Show on Turf Rams, and he's Marshall Faulk, and Jared Goff is Kurt Warner. I'm in love with this team. I know I'm an Eagles fan. I'm not saying that they're ahead of the Eagles. I'm just saying I absolutely adore the Detroit Lions.
They are definitely fun
America's
to watch.
team.
And somebody gave Jahmyr Gibbs the Sonic the Hedgehog treatment on social media where he's like running through the rings.
Yeah, they've done that. Yeah, that's great. Boop, 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 boop.
It's awesome. Although I think the Matrix would have been a good nickname for him, but that was Sean Marion's nickname. But still, I mean, Marion hasn't played in a while, so I kind of like the Matrix a little bit.
He's not really the Matrix. Yeah, maybe that's an overstatement. But you know when running back's coming at you and the defender clearly doesn't know if he's going left or right, that's Gibbs.
Well, if we're going to go stock up, we got to go stock down. And for me, Anthony Richardson, I just don't understand it. I'm not sure what's the truth and what's a lie. So Anthony Richardson, after getting sacked on a play where it looked like maybe he hurt his shoulder, he taps his helmet to leave the game. And this was his explanation.
Man, tired. I ain't gonna lie. That was a lot of running right there, what I did. And I don't think I was gonna be able to go that next play. So I just, just told Sam I just needed a break right there.
I'm sorry, what? You were tired? No. If you're hurt, you want to get your shoulder together, that's one thing. But Perloff, the quarterback can't take himself out of the game when he's tired.
I wonder if there was more going on there.
I think, is he lying to cover up for the shoulder?
Because it was a really scary lower leg. Somebody grabbed his calf. It looked like a real injury. The tackler wrapped him up. I'm like, oh no, Anthony Richardson just got hurt again. And the narrative around this dude is he can't stay healthy. I thought he was worried about his leg because it was a really, really scary tackle for Colts fans.
Right, but then he did take himself out of the game. He took a knee on the sideline, and then he went back in. And then he said he was mad tired.
I think he was a little bit concerned about the injury there, too.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're going to lie, come up with a better lie. No?
I don't think he's lying.
Because if
he probably was tired, but
he's tired. I mean,
he's got several issues with running. He's not running in a safe way right now.
Okay, that's fine. A lot of things to address with Anthony Richardson. You're a young player, and you're a mobile quarterback. You can't be tired. Josh Allen doesn't get tired. Lamar Jackson doesn't get tired. I mean, they do, but they don't take themselves out of the game. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Brock Purdy, for goodness sake. These guys are running. You cannot take yourself out of the game.
I think Donovan McNabb's off the hook now, right? For throwing off. At least he stayed in the game.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
I would say that's issue number 657 on the Colts. Like, they got real concerns about there was a play. Did you see at the end where he didn't run out of bounds? Like, dude.
He wasted
do you have any
20
game awareness
seconds.
whatsoever? And also, let's face it, his passing numbers are just god awful.
If Joe Flacco's in that game, they probably beat the Texans.
If Joe Flacco is in that game, they're probably in the AFC title game. What are they doing here? Richardson was 10 for 32 for 175 yards. Actually, his performance was a little better than 10 for 32, but there is a deep problems with him at quarterback because everyone knows Flacco's better right now.
Do you have a final stock down for us?
Yes, this is a little controversial. Sean Payton, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Up 28-7, runs two massive trick plays against the Panthers. Like, karma will come at you, Sean Payton, and you think you can just do whatever you want. Maybe I'm defending Andy Dalton, my Panthers guy, and of course, I'm sure most people don't agree with this, but like running a fake punt and then running a fake field goal, like, I just thought it was a little tacky. And I think Sean Payton, he's pretty polarizing right now. I feel like he's easy to dislike the way he's running the Broncos.
Last year, first game of the season, he did the trick onside kick, like he tried to reprise the Super Bowl. This is back before you had to announce and declare onside kicks. He's trying to get too cute. Did you see after the game, he said they're just not a good offense?
Yeah, I did.
See J.C. Horn getting in his face being like, bro, was that, bro?
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of people getting each other's faces, we will talk about the Seahawks and their dust up between teammates yesterday.
That was wild.
It was weird. It wouldn't stop.
That team, by the way, I mean, I know he's a new coach, but he doesn't seem to have the slightest idea what's happening there.
Yeah. Mike McDonald, he looks like one of those coaches, and again, this is just from the TV. You'd have to watch the All-22, who doesn't talk to anybody on the sideline.
Very Robert Saleh-like.
Yeah, but I don't want to paint him with a negative picture when I haven't watched the All-22, but I never see him, like Leslie Frazier's coaching on that team. I've never seen them speak once on the broadcast, or maybe he's in the booth. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Leslie's on the sideline, but it's a weird team. It's just it's a weird team. Every week is unpredictable.
They got to start really thinking about quarterback and rebuild and what's the future. I mean, are they going to be 8 and 9 for the next 10 years? At a certain point, like, you got to rip the Band-Aid. I love Geno. Big fan of the story. He's not going anywhere on that team. They got to. I would almost like start to ramp it down if I'm Seattle.
But they were in first place in the division.
And they're kind of a young team. This is not an old team at all.
Well, I know, but are you gonna do it with Geno again next year? Like, where are you gonna get your quarterback? I think that they're gonna probably be ready to move on.
No, I agree. I'm just saying, like, in terms of ramp it down, I meant like the rest of the pieces. Like, I mean, I'm not trading any of those other guys. Like,
you're right. They have a good nucleus, but they need a solution at quarterback. And I'm again a big Geno fan. I just don't think this team is built to do make any real noise in the NFC.
We will get more into the Seahawks in just a moment. Manny Rodriguez is here doing updates for us. Good morning, Manny.
Good morning. We're sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, and your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance. The Browns, led by Jameis Winston's 334 yards through the air and 3 touchdowns, they shocked the Ravens 29-24. One of the plays that we'll remember from this game was Kyle Hamilton dropping a pick that would have sealed the win for Baltimore.
Oh, I started praying instantly. Like, it was only by the grace of God. And I think when situations like that happen, you always sit back and you're like, man, I still got the stuff to work on, right? Because it could have been a matter of whatever. Who knows how we would feel right now if that would have happened. But I'm so grateful that was an if. And ifs and shoulds and woulda, couldas don't mean nothing in this game.
Winston and the Browns would...
Wait, I'm sorry. Can I bring up Jameis Winston? Reminds me of someone who you strike up a conversation with a stranger on like a plane or like a subway or a bus or anywhere you'd be standing in line at the DMV, and then you instantly regret it. And you're like, oh no, I just made small talk with somebody who won't stop talking and has been waiting their whole life for someone to be like, hey, crazy weather we're having.
Jameis Winston is a cartoon character.
Yes.
I mean, quoting Eminem, he don't know that the Browns don't have a logo on their helmet.
Play for the decal on your helmet.
Wait, we don't have names. It's like this guy. Is this a bit? What's going on with him?
Definitely. He gets so much praise on social media. Like, he's going to keep it going till the end of time. Yeah, I think he's made a post-football career out of all this. I mean, this guy's a good performer.
No, but you could be right. It's just that other teammates have said even when the cameras are off, he's like this. Like we saw Gerard McCoy said the eating the W speech. He said the speech in the locker room was way worse. He said we didn't hear any of that stuff. He said the eat the W speech was actually kind of tame compared to his locker room speech, which was totally off the reservation.
Yeah, him becoming like a darling still doesn't really square with me, but he will find a camera, man. He's a good talker. Back to you, Manny.
Winston and the Browns, they would go down the field later that drive after Hamilton dropped that sure interception for the game-winning touchdown. The Ravens, they fall to 5-3. The Browns, they improve to 2-6. Despite a late push, the Cowboys cannot overcome a third quarter in which they were outscored 21-0 and outgained 167 yards to 16. They fall to the Niners 30-24 on Sunday Night Football. Cowboys are now 3-4. The last time they were 3-4 with a healthy Dak Prescott was back in 2018. What say you, Rain Dakota?
Yeah, take it one at a time. Similar to that, as you said, been here before. 2018, I mean, obviously me personally, I don't know how many guys are still on the team from then, right? Me, Zeke, Zach, a couple of the veterans. We know what it takes in this league. You get hot, you can get rolling, and that's all you're looking to do. So that's my point about this. Is frustrating, but nobody's giving up. Nobody's been as shook as you can say from where we're at. We just got to focus up.
Yeah, focusing up would be a good idea. They sit in third in the NFC East right now, ahead of the Giants, who are 2-5 and are in action tonight at Pittsburgh. Couple more NFL scores. The Texans, they tire out the Colts 23-20. Ladd McConkey, or Ladidi McConkey, he scores twice in a Chargers 26-8 win over the Saints. After starting 2-0, New Orleans has now lost 6 in a row. Long flight, no problem for the Bills. They beat the Seahawks in Seattle 31-10, and the Falcons, they beat the Buccaneers in their orange creamsicle jerseys 31-26. To the NBA, there was another celebration yesterday in Wade County. The Miami Heat unveiled a statue of Dwayne Wade outside Kaseya Center. The 8-foot statue is the first one erected outside the Heat's arena in its 37 seasons. One issue: the statue that depicts the moment Wade stood on the scores table after an OT win against the Bulls in 2009 looks absolutely nothing like D. Wade. And the memes that have been generated, well, they are generational, including this one.
Like, that's crazy. I can't believe that. Who is that guy?
Yeah, Dwayne, who the hell is that guy?
Yeah, that's Wade himself, kind of. When he said that, he was saying this is an out-of-body experience. I can't believe I'm getting a statue. And he goes, and who is that guy? I think he meant it as, wow, how did I get here? But it's being taken as literal. Like, I didn't recognize
It looks nothing like him.
It looks like a monster that would have eaten Dwayne Wade.
The Heat will host Dwayne Wade's statue night during tonight's matchup against the Detroit Pistons. Guys, you guys want to feel old real quick? Today's the 21-year anniversary of Wade's NBA debut.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Manny. Oh, that was like a punch in the stomach. So we got more with the statue?
We have the party was yesterday. Today is the game where we honor it. He'll speak at halftime as well. This, of course, coming a couple of days after Pat Riley named the court after himself at Kaseya Center. So fun times in Miami.
Why? It's funny. Like, why did they feel the need to do all this stuff back to back to back? You know,
I'm looking at the statue now. He got the body right.
I mean,
the part that he screwed up
cool.
with the face.
I mean,
that's all the things to screw up.
And the hair. He didn't really get that right either. Like, is this like a version of what Dwayne Wade's going to look like when he's 60 years old? I don't understand.
That's a tough look for Dwayne.
Well, the funny part, too, is Dwayne Wade is kind of thought of as maybe one of the best-looking athletes.
Good-looking dude.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with the Cristiano Ronaldo. It's like the better-looking the guy is in real life, the uglier the statue is. How is that fair?
I guess
I think this is worse than the Cristiano statue. I'm calling it now.
This one's bad. Ronaldo's terrible. He's got the crooked smile. It looks
At least
nothing
the
like it.
hair is kind of on point with Ronaldo. There's nothing on point with the Wade statue. The Ronaldo one is harder to look at, though. I will say that.
Our pal Trista Crick had a hilarious social media post yesterday where she's like putting up statues that are in the Louvre. She's like, we used to do good work. I'm like, yeah, I don't think Michelangelo was making this one, clearly, and not a disciple. We are far, far away from any of that stuff.
Shouldn't Dwayne Wade, so like they do an unveiling, and this is the first time he sees it. I feel like they should be able to see it before it gets unveiled. 'Cause I think if he saw this, he would have said, I think you guys gotta go back to the drawing board. This is not good enough.
I don't know.
Can you say that?
That's kind of like seeing the bride before the wedding day in the wedding dress. I don't know. That just kind of ruins it.
Bad luck?
Yeah.
But now we got this terrible statue outside the Miami arena.
But what's he supposed to do? Do you think he'd really say, guys, back to the drawing board, melt this thing down and start from scratch?
It is made of bronze, so it is worth something.
He should. He's got money.
Scrap metal?
Yeah, I'm sure the Heat and Dwayne Wade really need some money right now.
Manny, thank you very much. Lots more to do, including, do we have the biggest threat to one contender? We'll get to that next. Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Oh, yo. L-O.
Man, he's got a whip full bat swinging with flair. Behind the glass, he's waving it in the air. That bat's bright yellow, could do some harm. If he's not careful, it'll raise the alarm. EJ sitting close, looking a bit tense. He knows one wrong move could be at his expense. Man, he swings wild like he's aiming to score. EJ's ducking low, getting ready to hit the floor. Oh man, he put that bat away. Someone's bound to get hurt today. Peter Belotti's missing again. So much for counting on our old friends. Man, he's in the zone like he's up in the plate. But one wrong swing and it could seal EJ's fate. The young
3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Every one of us have an individual responsibility to go out there and fight for each other. Represent the names on your back, represents the names that's on your helmet. Well, we don't got no big guy. So represent the Browns.
You're listening to Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Jameis Winston basking in the victory yesterday. And listen, for the Browns fans, I'm happy for them because they were right. Browns fans were calling for Deshaun Watson to be benched. Now, that never happened. He ended up getting hurt, which you hate to see. And Jameis Winston came in, and they looked a lot better. Now, granted, The Ravens still should have won that game, Perloff. They absolutely should have. If Kyle Hamilton catches what might be the easiest interception of his entire career, and this is even going back to Notre Dame days, then they probably win the game, but they didn't. And maybe the Browns have a little bit of life. Maybe. A little bit of life.
The Ravens coming off short week traveling to Cleveland, divisional game. It's not shocking they lost this one, but did you see after the game Lamar Jackson threw his helmet down? He was upset. And honestly, I don't think Lamar had urgency the entire game either. I felt like the Ravens... it's funny, you losing to a 1-6 team, usually you knock a team off the pedestal. I'm not lowering the Ravens in my power rankings because I felt like, I was just watching the game. I'm like, they could turn it on. They thought they had the game won. They had no idea. Jameis threw a moon ball into the sun to Cedric Tillman. I just think the Ravens were shocked by that. I'm not worried if I'm Baltimore.
No, but Baltimore's defense doesn't look the same. We should call that what it is.
Oh, definitely not. But has that been the problem in the playoffs? It's been the offense.
Yeah, well, definitely last year. I mean, last year against the Chiefs, it was definitely the offense was the issue. So I guess not, but I'm just used to a certain standard of defense with the Ravens. I'm used to them being awesome, suffocating. I'm used to them keeping them in games just strictly on the defense.
But their offense is now they're like the Niners. They just switched it around. Now their offense is dominant.
So, that's a little of one of the big upsets. And by the way, Nick Kostos on Friday gave us that upset. So
Nice.
Listening to the Maggie and Perloff show every day of the week is great, but Fridays for sure when Nick gives us his upset pick of the week, and that was the one to pick outright. I want to pause on the Cincinnati Bengals, the other team in Ohio, for a second, Perloff, because, Nick, let's hear from Joe Burrow, please. Cut 8. Joe Burrow with a team that just lost to Perloff's Philadelphia Eagles at home by 20 to be 3-5 on the season, had this to say.
I think 10 wins usually gets you in. So we got to win 7 out of 9. That's doable. It's doable. So we'll go from there.
Is it doable? What evidence do we have that the Cincinnati Bengals, besides Joe Burrow being great, and we know he's awesome, but what's the evidence? You came off 2 games where these are the wins for the Cincinnati Bengals. At the Panthers, congratulations. At the New York Giants, okay, and at the Browns with Deshaun Watson. These are not like signature wins by any stretch. Listen, you play who's on your schedule.
Well, I mean, they outplayed the Chiefs and the Ravens. That was. Let me ask you a
question. They lost these games.
Let me ask you a question. Like, what's the deal with T. Higgins? Like, are you going to have him or not? Because when he's out there, it's a lot like my Eagles with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. Like, they're transformed. When you don't have T. Higgins, like, all of a sudden that offense, and this is a guy who's about to hit free agency, he's a true number one. They are just not scary. I mean, it's like you just cover Chase and you're probably okay against them.
You had Jamar Chase out there,
Yeah, but when they have Higgins and Chase going, that's a really scary offense.
Okay, but this is where, listen, Burrow didn't play poorly, but...
I mean, their defense got run over.
Their defense got rocked. I get that. But they were also held to 17 points. And how do you feel about the Eagles' defense? Do you think the Eagles' defense is 100% fixed? Because I don't think you do. And if you're Joe Burrow, you should be able to slice and dice a little bit. You're worried about Dak Prescott slice and dicing the Eagles' defense. What should Joe Burrow be able to do? He might be the second best quarterback in the NFL. And that's probably not true anymore. I mean,
I think he's pretty darn good.
He's great, but if you're asking somebody, Mahomes clearly the number one guy, and then Lamar and Josh Allen, I think, are probably the next 2.
Yeah.
And Burrow's awesome. I'm not taking away from that, but 17 points, this is not, the Eagles' defense is not the 85 Bears.
I don't think there's a real distinction in my mind between Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen. I think they're all right about the same. Do you think those Allen and Jackson are definitely better? Like if it was the Ravens and the Bengals and you in the playoffs, which probably, you're right, probably won't happen this year, you would say it's a wash, I would think. You wouldn't say Lamar has the advantage. You might give Burrow the advantage because of postseason success.
Burrow went into Buffalo and beat the Bills. So, yeah, I think that he gets the nod. But I don't know. I mean,
he's just,
you played a better team. You stepped up in competition. I know they were right there with the Chiefs, and I know they were right there with the Ravens, but you should have been right there with the Eagles.
Yeah, I thought they came out with a 9-minute drive. It looked like they were going to dominate the game. And then they just could not slow down Saquon, as Rob Gronkowski called him yesterday. I just think the Eagles dominated the game up front. The Bengals defense, like, who's on that defense too? Like, if it's not Hendrickson, then who's doing anything? Pretty much nobody. So I think the defense is a big concern. I don't come away. Burrow's really good, by the way. Even yesterday, I'm like, oh, that guy, he throws such a pretty pass.
The one thing about the Bengals defense, though, yeah, I know Jesse Bates is gone, but isn't it a lot of the same guys? And Lou Anarumo, their defensive coordinator, I mean...
They're getting torched this year. They're one of the worst defenses in the league.
It's crazy. 855-212-4227. Okay, you're welcome to weigh in on that. Coming up, what exactly went wrong for the Cowboys last night? Well, Dak Prescott.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Not an old friend. On the block, it's no damn surprise. Caught on camera with those sneaky ass eyes. Where she writes mom, yeah, she made the news. Snatching up boxes like she paid her fucking dues. Is it Peter Pilati taking the fucking packs? He's never at work, could be leaving tracks. Perloff's out here playing in the folks, but it's Pilati who's a sneaky ass bloke. Bloke. Amazon packages just fucking disappear. Perloff says, hey, don't live in fear. Blame yourself, don't whine or shout. But it's Pilati who's the sneaky ass bloke. Amazon packages just fucking disappear. Perloff says, hey, don't live in fear. Blame yourself, don't whine or shout. But it's Pilati who's the sneaky ass bloke. Is it Peter Pilati taking those fucking bats? He's never at work, could be leaving tracks.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Brock in the gun. They have Conley out wide right, 3 or left. Brock looking right, going to throw wide open. George Kittle, touchdown! George Kittle!
Thank you, 49ers Radio. Welcome to the show. George Kittle touchdown. I swear, if I hear national tight end day one more time, I'm going to vomit. It's not a real day, people.
It sure looked like a real day yesterday. Every tight end went crazy, including George Kittle, he's the founder of this, right? I feel like the ultimate tight end is George Kittle.
Yeah, it's just we don't have to say it every 5 seconds. It's not a real holiday. This isn't Christmas. It's not the 4th of July. Anyway, good job by the 49ers. They go to 4-4. So now you got 3 teams in the NFC West all tied with a 4-4 record. Arizona, San Francisco, and Seattle. And because Arizona and Seattle both have Arizona and the Rams have a win over the 49ers. Arizona's actually the top spot in the NFC West after they beat the Miami Dolphins yesterday. Let's take a snapshot of that, Cardinals fans. But the real story coming out of this game, Perloff, listen, San Francisco 49ers beat the Dallas Cowboys. That's not going to raise a lot of eyebrows. That's kind of what's supposed to happen. Right. Now it's been 4 wins in a row. I think the biggest question is about the Dallas Cowboys now, where they go to 3-4 on the season. They cannot win a game away from home. And this game was ostensibly over in the third quarter. San Francisco scored 21 points in the third quarter, and the game was a wrap. How they let Dallas back into the game, I think, is something the 49ers should really look in the mirror about. The defense got a little too soft. Dak Prescott throws 2 touchdowns to CeeDee Lamb. But then when the Cowboys actually have a chance to win the game down by 1 score with 3 minutes left to go, plenty of time. And it was 4 plays, 4 pass plays, none of them connected.
Well, wait,
good night.
You weren't going to run the ball, so you're not criticizing the 4 pass plays because that's their only option to gain a single yard.
Okay, but here's the thing. Why did it have to be... Why couldn't they try to get the first down?
I understand what you're saying.
They were going for way too much. They were going for low percentage plays, it felt like.
Well, maybe that's what was there. You know, the thing about the Cowboys, just taking one step back, you have to admit they look way better than they did against Detroit. I mean, if you're grading on
blown out, yeah, you're right.
Blown out. Like, it looked like they had just rolled over. There was no point, even as a score, even when San Francisco went up, what they go up 27-10. Even then, the Cowboys looked like their effort was there last night. So I'm going to take baby steps towards mediocrity here.
Oh my gosh,
because
that is very generous.
There was one very clearly missing Micah Parsons last night because Brock Purdy was in total control of the game. Like, he didn't look scared of anybody, and they really couldn't. They couldn't stop him. So I just think the Cowboys, they're 3-4. They have a hard road to make the playoffs. I just think that they're going to be heard from again. I do not think this is a total descent into mediocrity. Come on, they were at San Francisco, Maggie, and it's San Francisco, totally desperate San Francisco team because of what you mentioned. They're tied with Arizona and Seattle. Like, they can't afford to give a B effort. They have to be on it from now on.
Okay, so you got San Francisco's best effort, and you actually were getting blown out in the third quarter. It felt like it was a blowout in the third quarter. And again, I think it was garbage time and garbage yards and everything that got Dallas back into the game. And all of a sudden, San Francisco's like, oh no, it's a 1-score game. We got to get back on our P's and Q's. You're coming off the bye week, and I just don't see where this big run is coming from for the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott after the game talking about, oh yeah, we got a lot of season left, sure, and we're about to catch fire. Like, what? What evidence do you have of that?
He said it more in a perfunctory way. He's like, yeah. We haven't given up on the season. What do you expect the quarterback to say? Like, yeah, you know what? We're 3-4, probably going to go 3-14. What on earth was Dak Prescott going to say in that situation?
Well, maybe come up with a different kind of lie, because I don't think that anyone is looking at the Cowboys, and it's not even necessarily about their schedule, although there's no cupcakes here. They're going to go to Atlanta, Philadelphia, Houston, at Washington after Washington's big win, the Hail Mary yesterday. There's a little something there. I think everything's going from bad to worse here for Dallas, and you can blame every single facet. You can blame Jerry Jones for not putting together a good enough roster. You can blame Mike McCarthy for sometimes the play calls and the play design. You can blame Dak Prescott for throwing a terrible interception in the second half to Diamador Lenore and the sideline. You can blame the defense because they are not what we expected. They still can't stop the run, and Brock Purdy was able to get to him yesterday. There's just so much blame to be put around for this team, and I don't think you can dig yourself out of that. So, to me, this is it. The season is over for the Cowboys. I don't know how many more games they're going to win, Perloff, but they are not going to be a factor, and I do not see this big run coming up.
You sound pretty certain.
I do.
Care to put something on the line?
I already picked them not to make the playoffs. I already did that early in the season, so I'm just
definitively declaring the season over. I think we need to hold you accountable for that.
Okay, well, here's the thing about me and the Dallas Cowboys and bets. I still have one I got to pay off, because I did not think Dak Prescott was going to get that big contract, and now I kind of wish he hadn't. So I still have to go to the Waffle House and eat all those waffles. I got to get that out of the way before I can make another Dallas bet.
Okay, let me just say for Cowboys fans, I know effort is, nobody wants to hear this, but you do have Micah Parsons has to come back. He's not going to retire. He's not done for the rest of his life. He's coming back from a high ankle sprain, and DeMarcus Lawrence is coming back, and Deron Bland's just going to get healthier. If Jerry somebody gives him smelling salts and he brings in a run, or does something to have a running game, there's got to be some better solution. There's a chance they're a better team in the second half. In fact, I'd be very surprised if they weren't a better team in the second half than the team that got blown out 47-9 to the Lions, the team that just gave a good effort, lost 30-24 to the Niners. Like, you're going to be a better team at the end of the season. Dak, by the way, looks pretty good.
And what is that going to get you? Who cares?
I mean, you might get to 9-8, and in this NFC, who the heck knows? There's a lot of uncertainty.
Wow. I mean, yeah, I don't think...
I mean, that's their goal now. I mean, forget, the 12-5 is not happening again. They're already at 4 losses. But
that's abundantly clear.
I do think that, you're 3-4, like, you got to focus now. You got to try and get to 9-8, 10-7 and see what happens.
Here's my question about Micah Parsons. So he's got the high ankle sprain, right? If he's not back next week, then why didn't they put him on IR? Because that means you have to miss 4 games, but it means you can fill the roster spot. I'm not saying there's another Micah Parsons out there, but again, is that just not one small microcosm of roster mismanagement? And you've also had the bye week in here too. Don't forget that. So he's had all this time to get healthy. You never put him on IR. I don't understand the reason for that.
I think they thought it's a high ankle sprain. I think they thought he was going to be back for this game. I mean, everybody kind of thought after the bye he'd be back. If he's not back for Atlanta, then then something's really, really wrong.
Well, starts to get maybe a little bit of nervous time. 855-212-4227. EJ, can we throw a poll question up here? Because I think Perloff and I we really see the Cowboys very different. I think you took a lot of positives away from last night despite the loss. And to me, they look buried after this.
I mean, they were winning at halftime. I mean, what on earth have they ever been winning at halftime at San Francisco?
Wasn't the score 10-7?
Yeah, I mean...
it's not exactly a stranglehold.
What do you think halftime was there last year when the Cowboys were a much better team? They were getting destroyed. Like, immediately, the Niners just ran all over them. Honestly, I think this game was way better than last year's, and the Cowboys are a shadow of themselves. So even to hang in there was impressive to me. They had an interesting strategy. They were like, well, we're going to block Nick Bosa in the first half one-on-one and just hope that Dak can throw it almost immediately and then get pummeled right after he throws it.
Yeah, and he can't move around, and he just really doesn't move around. And what's interesting, though, is, yeah, you said last year they got pummeled and they were a way better team. Well, also last year, that was a better version of the 49ers.
That's true.
This version of the 49ers is not last year's version.
No, there's no McCaffrey.
No McCaffrey. And Debo, despite having a big touchdown run that ended up getting called back on a hold, I felt like there were times, and listen, credit for him for gutting it out. He was in the hospital for 48 hours earlier this week with pneumonia. But I thought there were moments where if he had been at full strength, he's probably breaking a couple more tackles, getting into the end zone a couple more times.
Yeah, also, Purdy missed him on a 4th down. That was a terrible throw by Purdy. Totally uncharacteristic. Brock Purdy kind of did whatever he wanted last night for a big chunk of the game. It was funny. If he didn't have that terrible game, the 3-interception game, I was like, wow, Brock Purdy be right back in the MVP mix.
Yeah, so 855-212-4227. Again, on Mondays, we try to get to everything around here, but if you want to talk about your game, we had so many amazing finishes, both college and pro. You are welcome to call in. You can also watch the show, youtube.com/infinitysportsnet, twitch.tv/infinitysportsnetwork, and on X at Maggie Gray. Other weird things from this game. So apparently when the Joneses roll up to an away game, or maybe even a home game, it's like a 3 SUV caravan.
Right.
And one of the SUVs that was carrying his daughter and his one son, so Charlotte, and then Jerry Jr., was the car was kind of hit by a barricade. I think it's one of those barricades that comes up from the ground, and it came up and hit the car, and it looks like Charlotte may have had some injuries to her ribs, and the Jerry Jr. may have a concussion. So this is just a little like, wow, when things are going bad, things are going really bad. And then we know that Jerry Jones got into it with the radio hosts down in Dallas a couple weeks ago. Well, yesterday, Trayvon Diggs, after the game ends, teams go in the locker room. There's like a 10-minute cool down period. And then the media can come in and do interviews. And during that cool down period, Trayvon Diggs comes out of the locker room specifically to call out one television reporter from Dallas who had tweeted something about his effort on the George Kittle touchdown.
Yeah.
Lack of effort.
I mean, I noticed the same thing in real time, by the way.
And Trayvon Diggs, the guy says that the reporter says, maybe we can talk about this another time. And he goes, you can talk to D's. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to get fined by the FCC this morning. And I'm not sure if I can. I don't know if I can say that one. So I'm not going to. I mean, just talk about unraveling. And that just comes from the top. If you've got the owner can take aim at the media and say whatever he wants and get into it, then why wouldn't Trayvon Diggs feel like he can pull this move, which is just outright classless? First of all, stop looking at your social media right after the game, especially when you just had this really close loss. Like, this is being famous 101. Don't do that. And if you're going to, have a little more discipline. I try not to hold things against guys right in the heat of the moment and right afterwards, Perloff, because their adrenaline is high. Obviously, they care a lot. But you're not a rookie, dude. It's just a terrible look. You embarrassed yourself.
Are we talking about Deron Bland? Yeah.
No, I'm talking about Trayvon Diggs.
Trayvon Diggs, yeah.
It's clown stuff. And this is the whole organization. They're unserious.
Yeah, I hear you. They need that energy right now. Like, they need to really act like this hurts. They really need, I don't want to hear, they have to take this seriously right now. Honestly, I know you think I'm crazy. I think Jerry, what he was trying to do was somewhat effective. They came out with a lot of energy, which they have not done in a long time this season. So I don't know. At least they're taking it personally. I mean, this is a Cowboys team that you say just wants to be hype and just wants to be popular. Well, to me, that kind of says we take this personally, we really want to win these games, and they do. Honestly, I think you're underestimating the Cowboys. I think that they're going to be a 500 team, which is not bad considering you had no Micah Parsons for the season.
Yeah,
I mean, he's their Nick Bosa. He's huge. You know how Bosa dominated the game last night? That's Micah Parsons. People are totally forgetting. That's like taking TJ Watt off the Steelers. And the Cowboys, if they get him back, maybe they're back to same team as last year.
I don't know. I doubt it. They had issues stopping the run last year with Micah Parsons. You don't think Isaac Guerrero or Jordan Mason, or once they get McCaffrey back, it's not going to just be the same old thing?
Oh, my God. Brock Purdy sat back there all night long. Just at ease. It looked like a 7-on-7 game last night.
Sorry, AJ, what were you saying?
I was saying Micah Parsons was there when they got destroyed by the Ravens and destroyed by the Saints.
Yeah.
And I was at home.
earlier this season.
Yeah. So when we say, well, they have more home games, well, they've been getting crushed at home. Well, Micah Parsons will come back. Well, they were getting crushed when he was out there.
Yeah, I don't see like the big run coming. It's like, oh, the turning point, or this is like the, it was a loss, but you took some good things away from it. I don't see it. Let's go to Adrian, who's in Maryland. Good morning, Adrian. What's up?
Hey, guy. Good morning. Good morning. I'm a big Dallas Cowboys fan, so I'm not gonna say they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that. Unlike Big Dave in Kentucky, who jumped ship a long time ago, that's not a fan. That's a fair weather fan when they start winning games. But to get to your point, this is a lot on Jerry Jones. He, like you said, he waited to sign Dak, and what you do in the springtime, you basically go to Dak and say, what do you need for us to win games? You don't sign him, and you put pieces around him. We found out Dak's not that guy. He's not that top 5 quarterback that's going to change the game. He needs pieces around him, just like Purdy needs pieces around him. So with me being a Cowboys fan, they're going to be 8-9, 9-8 at the most. And that's reeling off a bunch of games and maybe making one little small trade during the trade deadline to open up the offense. As you've seen last night, they came back in their route concepts. Their play calling was better. Then they get down 6, and they go back to the same thing they were doing in the second quarter that got them down 27-10.
Yep.
Everybody running go routes and things like that. So we should be looking at play calling for one, and Jerry Jones.
And you know what? Adrian, everything except for the Jerry Jones part actually can be fixed. You can get another coach. You can actually sign players. Maybe you do make a trade. I thought Nick Chubb could have been a possibility for them, but now the Browns have won a game. So I don't know if maybe Nick Chubb's not available anymore. I was trying to think of running backs that could help them. Adrian, thank you for the call, dude.
Everyone keeps linking them to Travis Etienne, who's been hurt a little bit too. They need him so badly. They need somebody who can run, like a faster running back, because Zeke and Dalvin Cook, I'm so sorry. It's not 2018. That's not going to work. Zeke is so slow, and he actually played okay last night. They really need just a fast running back from somewhere, just to scare the defense a little bit.
In the chat, youtube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network, where Ray Brooks says, Perloff, you keep talking about how the Cowboys fought back, but at this point, they should have been blown out 3 times. And in 2 of them, the opposing defenses just kind of stopped playing. That was last night with the 49ers, and then the Ravens game as well.
Yeah, but
the final score looked a little bit better than what was actually going on.
Well, I saw the Cowboys get blown out last year and just go on a run. So if they're going to lose, a 42-10 loss counts the same as a 17-14 loss. I like it. Just, lose, rip the Band-Aid. Almost it hurts more last night, losing 30-24 than 47-9. I'm telling you, they lost to Detroit and at San Francisco. It's possible those are the 2 best teams in the conference. It's very possible.
Well, they've lost more than that.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm not counting early in the season. I don't know why. I'm just going to write those off.
Okay.
They did come out.
Perloff rules?
They won at Pittsburgh. Like, they seem to be figuring things out. Then they totally laid over against Detroit and San Francisco. They're going to beat a good team at some point. I like what Adrian said, 8 or 9, 9 or 8. Would that be at this point? Would you be happy as a Cowboys fan to get to 9-8? If I could give you 9-8 right now,
you want to know why I wouldn't be happy about that? Because I would think to myself, all right, is Jerry going to make the right decision on their next head coach? If it's not McCarthy, which I don't think it's going to be, but is he actually going to make the right decision? Number one, or are we going to get another, good but not great? And then the other part is the Dak Prescott contract. There's nothing that's saving you from that.
So what's that have to do with 9-8?
Well, I'm just saying, if you did start to feel good, you're like, well, where is this team going? Dak Prescott's contract is exorbitant.
Right. That's not changing. One way
Jerry Jones being the owner and him picking the next head coach, that's not going anywhere.
Not changing.
So that would bring me sort of back down to earth.
Right. But would you rather be 9-8 than 5-12?
Well,
you're saying it doesn't matter.
I don't know.
I'd rather tank. I totally disagree.
For what?
For more. This team is not talented. Like, I'm sorry. Like, we keep talking about these names. They have names. They don't have stars.
They're not getting into the top 5. They're not getting Travis Hunter. They're not getting.
You get in the top 10 and you can get a good player. I'm not saying you got to get it. You got to get in the top 5. I think this is going to end up being a pretty decent draft. They need an influx of talent. That receiving core is ass. Okay, it's so bad. It's CeeDee Lamb and just a bunch of guys.
So what's the difference? They could get a receiver at 13 the same as they can at 8. That's not a huge difference. That's not a reason to lose.
Well, here's a question. Would they even do that? I mean, their first-round picks are all going to be offensive, defensive line, which generally I'm for.
They do need defensive line as well.
Well,
they've been drafting
they
defensive linemen for 10
years.
years. Like, that's the problem I have with this team is that, like, for a team that is supposed to be hanging around the rim, they're going backwards.
Definitely.
And every year I watch them, I feel like the talent gets worse. They're not getting better. This is supposed to be Dallas Cowboys, God's team, America's team, star on the helmet. Where are the stars?
Well, I don't know.
Where are these guys?
You said that last year when they were 12-5 and looked like...
I loved them last year. That's why I'm annoyed because I thought they were going in the right
wrong
direction
last year. This year we kind of knew. I think everyone lowered their expectations coming into the season with the Cowboys.
Because
the offseason was openly a disaster. Their odds fell pretty good. Their win total went down in Vegas. Like everyone knew this was not the same team.
Well, and I don't think they made the changes that needed to be made off the loss to the Packers.
True. I also think their offensive line got really old. I mean, at certain point, like they probably should be a rebuilding team. They lost a Hall of Fame left tackle. They're about to lose a Hall of Fame guard. They're getting old at key spots, but they tried to sort of bridge the gap, and it's not working right now.
855-212-4227. You're welcome to weigh in on the Cowboys. I see the season is over. Perloff thinks there's a glimmer here. There's stuff to work on, things to build off of. How do you see it? 855-212-4227. Coming up, back to the college ranks and what we saw over the weekend. The college report card is next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time to go. I have to go to class.
Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
Let's find out who made the grade after this weekend's college football action.
He is totally gonna kill at college.
What, like it's hard?
As of this moment, they're on double secret probation.
Maggie and Perloff hand out their college report card.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
That open still makes me laugh. All right, Maggie, college report card, big college weekend. A lot of fun. I don't think we had like the major Texas-Georgia style game, but there were some very interesting results.
Yeah, EJ's going to throw one out for us. We'll give him the grade, either a person or a team. EJ, go ahead.
All right, let's start in Columbus. Ryan Day, unhappy with the Buckeyes' performance in their 21-17 win. What do you give Ryan Day's performance in this game?
I think that was like a C. He said he didn't like the energy and the effort. You're coming off of a bye where you just had this terrible loss in Oregon. You should be razor sharp for this game, Perloff.
I can't believe how bad they were at running. So their defense was terrible against Oregon, right? Gave up 500 yards, completely fixed that, shut down Nebraska the entire game. And then they got averaged 2.5 yards per carry. In the college football world, that's like averaging 1 yard per carry in the NFL. You have superstar running backs. You have Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. You should be able to run all over Nebraska. I'm scared for this team because that's a championship or bust team, and they seem closer to bust to me.
Coming up next week, they go to Happy Valley and Penn State. So
that should work out.
We'll see what happens.
That should work out, actually. But regardless, they do have.
So I said C. What do you say for Day?
A D for Day. Right. That was actually even worse than the Oregon game.
Wow, that's saying a lot. Let's go to Quinn Ewers, Texas. They get a win over Vanderbilt. Game got a little tight at the end, but Ewers did get hot in the middle of this game.
Yeah, I think at one point he had completed 17 passes in a row, but Ewers just doesn't look the same coming back from this injury. So I kind of feel like he needs to be graded on a curve. I'm going to give him a B-. 2 picks in this game. Listen, Vandy is the Kingslayers, so I guess they're just lucky to get out of Nashville alive. But I don't think that Ewers has been so great. But again, Perloff, is he still dealing with this injury? Maybe he came back a little bit too quickly.
I don't know. I give him a B+. I thought he looked really good. He threw that early pick. He got tipped, which is a problem with him. He's not super huge. He didn't get down on himself. He came out the exact opposite and just caught fire. Clearly run Sark offense. Yeah, that game was close-ish, but Texas kind of had him the whole game. I think Ewers is going to get a little better as the season goes on. I think Sark was very pleased because there was some concern, are we going to see that Quinn Ewers again?
Yeah, I mean, it was mostly a 10-point game in the second half, but then all of a sudden, Vandy, man, they don't go away. It's like Michael Myers.
Well, they scored with like a minute left to make it a one-score game, so they needed an onside kick, and it didn't happen.
Let's go to College Station, where it was Brian Kelly's LSU Tigers that went to Texas A&M and got outscored 31-6 in the second half. LSU loses 38-23. What's your grade for Brian Kelly?
Okay, I'm going to give him a C because they lost. But do we underestimate the impact of two players? LSU loses Jaden Daniels, and we expect them to be in the playoff. And USC loses Caleb Williams. Both teams are struggling. You could see LSU was in a tight game. Jaden Daniels would have gone bananas in that game, and they just couldn't keep up with A&M and their backup quarterback, who was awesome. So I think we probably had too high expectations for LSU. I really do.
Oh, I don't think so. I'm not doing that. Garrett Nussmeier was definitely in the Heisman conversation until Saturday. He threw 3 interceptions, and I think I give Brian Kelly a D on this one. Mike Elko gets an A, but we would agree on that, so we're not going to put that in. He was brilliant to go to the backup quarterback, totally got LSU on their heels, but does it feel like perhaps, and I know that there's been some great wins for Brian Kelly at LSU. They beat Alabama his first year, epic game. We're going to see on November 9th, we get LSU, Alabama. I think sometimes his teams play super tight big games, and I think that's him.
I agree.
I thought they got really tight in this game. And listen, you're on the road, Kyle Field. We know this amazing home field advantage. Notre Dame went in there and won the first game of the season. I get that. It was the first game of the year. I think his team got totally tight. They botched the snap on the field goal. Just a lot of things that got wonky in that game. So I'm giving Brian Kelly a D.
So that means, will they get tight for in 2 weeks Alabama?
I don't know. They played really well against Alabama in the past. So
yeah, I just don't think this team is that great. And partly because of defense, too.
Well, they didn't fix that fully.
Yeah, I mean, that's the funny thing about Brian Kelly. He's supposed to be hard-nosed. And I think a lot of it is Harold Perkins was supposed to be the second coming. That's not happening. And you look at this team, I just don't think they're that great. But maybe they beat Alabama and change it around. I guess 2 losses, they're probably still alive-ish.
Well, now it's must-wins from here on out.
Yeah.
That Alabama-LSU game is de facto elimination game.
Absolutely. Let's go to Alabama. They won 34-0. Jalen Milroe didn't throw any touchdowns, but he did run for one. What are you giving Jalen Milroe's performance in this win for the Crimson Tide?
I'm going to give him a B+. Wasn't great in the first half, but the second half, they really came out and Milroe specifically came out and was determined to run the ball. And listen, they had a wounded opponent in Mizzou, lost their starting quarterback, couldn't even make it a half. He came into the game with an injury and couldn't even last a half, got a different injury, hurt his hand. But Milroe in the second half, they turned it on, they turned it up. I mean, yeah, B+. No crazy, huge, terrible turnovers.
Yeah, I totally agree with that grade. I do think a more important test is coming up. This was the quiz before the final, yeah. Which is next week. Because in a way, it is a final for Alabama. If their schedule lends itself, if they can beat LSU, 2 weeks, then they advance to the tournament. So yeah, I think even in the losses, he definitely has his moments. He's just been a little mistake prone. And if they could run the ball more dominantly, then they wouldn't need Milroe to be a hero. That's what I don't really love about this Alabama team. It just feels like at the end of the day, Milroe has to win for them.
Well, and this was the first game in 2 weeks that he did not throw multiple interceptions in the game. So he was a little bit better there. But again, it was Mizzou, and Mizzou was wounded. Mizzou's a good team, but they were down. We didn't put Deion in this college football report card. We'll get to Deion later. And the Colorado Buffaloes bowl eligible under Deion Sanders. So definitely good vibes in Colorado. Manny Rodriguez is here with us doing updates this morning. What up, Manny?
Good morning, guys. We're sponsored by LinkedIn. Get LinkedIn's deep candidate insights. Help you find your next Pro Bowl hire today. To post your job for free, go to linkedin.com/recruitment. Terms and conditions apply. Dolphins QB Tua Tagovailoa played in his first game yesterday since September 12th when he was diagnosed with his third known concussion. He threw for 234 yards, 28 for 38, 1 touchdown. He also had all of South Florida holding their breaths when he carried the ball 3 times for 13 yards. So Tua, you all right?
I would say I felt like myself. Like I said, I've been preparing for 5 weeks as if I were to play while I was on IR. So, that's what it was. So it felt normal coming out there.
Well, Tua's return was spoiled as the Dolphins fumble away a 9-point fourth quarter lead. Chad Ryland's field goal as time expired is the difference. Cardinals 28, Dolphins 27.
Perloff, I think I owe you a little bit of an apology. You said that the Dolphins defense was not very good, and I was like, well, let's wait and see. No.
Yeah.
The last 3 drives for the Arizona Cardinals, touchdown, and then the game-winning field goal where they went on a 13-play drive to just burn so much clock. It was beautiful, quite frankly, if you're a Cardinals fan. But I think you were onto something with that Miami D.
Yeah, you know how many sacks they came away with last night? 0. And not only that, I think they only had like 1 or 2 pressures. They are, both teams, by the way, Arizona's defense is as harmless as Miami's defense. Neither one pressured the quarterback the entire game. I'm like, you have these tiny quarterbacks. I think they're afraid that Kyler Murray's going to run around them, but just hit those guys. They couldn't even touch them. Yeah, this has shame because now I feel like Miami's, since they paid to it, they're in a big limbo situation.
2-5 on the season, and man, the AFC East just really cratered, huh?
Oh, that's a shock. It's only been like that since every year since, forever.
Congratulations on winning the AFC East, by the way, Maggie.
I know, for the Bills.
Fifth time in a row.
I honestly didn't see this coming. I really didn't. I'm like, I didn't even expect to win this award. I didn't even have a speech prepared. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't see the division falling apart in this way. Now, listen, Bills, Dolphins this upcoming weekend, next week, we'll see what happens, I guess.
Have you, even yesterday, I'm sorry, I keep saying last night, you tweeted out something funny could happen here. Were you watching that Seahawks-Bills game? You're like, this is it's a rainy day out here. It's pretty nerve-wracking. Honestly, an elite college team could have beaten the Seahawks yesterday. They couldn't even snap the football. Like, what game were you watching? That was the easiest Bills win I've ever seen in my entire life.
I was stunned. I didn't see the Seahawks really self-imploding that way. Maybe I should have, because when they're bad, they are bad. But there have been some games that the Seahawks look fantastic. They'll go on the road, they'll win. No DK Metcalf really hurt them. The Bills have nobody in the secondary who can hang with Metcalf.
They cannot snap the football to the quarterback.
Right
DK
over
Metcalf, Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, and Randy Moss were not going to do anything. They are a disaster.
Right over Geno's head, right when you're basically a first and goal.
Nothing annoys me more than a team that is from Seattle having struggles playing in the rain. The Seattle teams, the Florida teams, it's like, this should be a cakewalk for you. How are you guys the ones that can't snap the ball?
They also see, they're trying to run this fast pace with Ryan Grubb, but they seem to have real trouble getting lined up the right way and calling of play. That's definitely an issue for them. The mechanics of basic football were not there yesterday.
But anyway, back to the Dolphins. Yeah, this Tua situation with the contract and now him being bad, and not him being bad, but the team being bad. He was fine.
Now the question is, too, like, they're not going to draft a quarterback, so you're going to build around Tua. I don't know. They've tried so many things on this defense. They brought in Bradley Chubb. They brought in Jalen Ramsey. They drafted Chop Robinson, and the defense just can't stay healthy.
They cycle through defensive coordinators, too. And I don't know if Mike McDaniel's going to survive this. I think
he just signed an extension, so he should be okay.
I know, but you say that, those extensions, none of that counts against the salary cap. That's just sunk money from a billionaire.
Wow, if that's the case, Mike McDaniel's stoked because he's getting paid a lot of money through 2028.
Yeah, maybe he can go to more hair gel. Manny, what else you got?
Kyler Murray, he went 26 for 36, 307 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Guys, I'm getting a little tired, so is it cool if I sit out for a little bit? Well, that's what Anthony Richardson needed in the third quarter.
Man, tired. I ain't gonna lie. That was a lot of running right there, what I did, and I don't think I was gonna be able to go that next play. So I just, just told Sam I just needed a break right there.
I too am tired. Joe Flacco, he replaced Richardson for that third down snap. They could not convert on third down, leading to a 37-yard field goal by Matt Gay. The Texans would go on to win the game 23-20. Richardson, he completed 31% of his passes, 175 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. C.J. Stroud, 25 for 37, 285 yards, and a touchdown in the end.
Nobody's really talked about this, but I feel like the injuries that he has something to do with him getting so tired. He rarely finishes games. And he's played very few full games in his entire career.
Right.
So we talk about his brand of football. I think because I believe him, I think he was tired. He looked gassed when he got to the sideline. I think even though he's a physical specimen and he's jacked and he's strong and he's fast, I'm not sure if he has the best conditioning. I don't know if he can play that same way 60 minutes.
Oh, because he's not in football shape.
Right. He doesn't. Right. He's not had to play that kind of way for 60 minutes for his entire career.
Yeah, I'm just like, even going back to his college days, I mean, I'm looking at a guy who basically rushed for 700 yards in college and was, had over 100 rush attempts in the last year he was at Florida. Like, this is his bread and butter. You can't get tired here. Now, maybe you're right, EJ. Maybe he's not in good enough football shape. But at the same time, I thought this has to be a lie. I thought maybe he's covering for another injury because he doesn't want to have that moniker of being injury prone, but you made it way worse if this is the lie.
A couple more of NFL scores for you. A field goal as time runs out. That pushes the Packers past the Jaguars, 30-27. The Eagles, they flex after being flexed out. They beat the Bengals 37-17. And the Broncos, they double up on the Panthers 28-14. College football, a fight broke out at the end of the Michigan State game. Michigan tight end Colston Loveland, what a name, and Michigan State defensive end Anthony Jones, they ignited the brouhaha that led to punches being thrown. On the field after the game, Loveland had this to say on the Big Ten Network.
Yeah, I mean, little bro stay doing little bro things, you know. So MSU the little bro, they could do whatever they want. We knew it was going to get chippy, but, you know, everything within the confines of the game we do right. And then after they want to get busy, we'll get busy.
Get busy, like a Sean Paul song, guys.
Well, I mean, it wasn't good, but I mean, last time they got busy after a game, like a Michigan guy got jumped. Remember
got
that?
a lot. There was a little bit. You're saying there baby steps towards improvement, EJ?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, you're like, oh, we can get busy after the game. I'm like, well, last time that happened, that didn't go well for Michigan, even though you killed them on the field.
Yeah, so you got Michigan and Oregon this weekend. How do we think that's going to go?
Not good for Michigan.
Not good for
So it's funny. A quick side, we've talked a lot about Sharon Moore and how they feel about this season going the way it's gone. They did beat Michigan State. And I was with a Michigan alum who's a super fan over the weekend. So I asked him, like, what's the vibe over there? He's like, it's getting dicey. The fans are not happy. He's like, if you go to the message boards, you listen to the alums, he can't do this again next year. Like,
they have no quarterback. They've cycled through how many guys? They had to go back to the original dude last week or for this game because everyone's hurt.
No, but I think there is some acknowledgement that, hey, like, we played the championship game, we couldn't recruit the right guy, we couldn't get the transfer portal straightened out, and then Harbaugh had 1 foot out the door. But there is a lot of anger with just how inept offensively they are week to week.
That's totally unfair.
And Sharon Moore, maybe, I don't say he's in trouble, but like that the people are not happy right now.
That's insane. I mean, listen, Harbaugh, not only was he out the door, like there was all this investigation. Like you were going to like, how are you going to get anyone out of the transfer portal in that situation? How are you going to get Dylan Gabriel to come to Michigan last year? Like that was just not happening.
No, meanwhile, and we have not talked about Oregon enough. Number 1 team in the country, Illinois, who has been good, was ranked, maybe is still ranked. That was a laugher. And Dylan Gabriel, that Heisman campaign is alive and well.
Absolutely.
I'm starting to feel like he's going to just outlast everyone. I don't know why.
A lot of football left because the Heisman voters only judge the last 3 weeks of the season. There's a dirty secret of Heisman voters.
I know, but look at the rest of the Big Ten. We're talking about Michigan. We're talking about Ohio State almost lost to Nebraska. We're talking about could Penn State lose to Ohio State because Penn State's always looking to lose a big game. What's going on? Like Oregon looks like the class of the Big Ten.
Totally, but that doesn't mean. Honestly, somebody could go off 1 week before voting, and voters always judge on the last thing they saw. By the way, the Colts Texas game. We're not talking about the play of the game when that defender got the fumble and ran it down. It looked like for the game-winning touchdown or the leading touchdown. That was
brutal. That got called.
Yeah, you're the
they
one
said
who
that he was down by contact, right?
Yeah, and it was so slight. I think Joe Mixon just brushed him.
Barely.
Otherwise, if you're a Colts fan right now, like that has to be a miserable fan base because you really should have won that game yesterday.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I forgot about that play. I was thinking what was worse, though, that or what happened with the Bears. And on multiple fronts. We'll get to the Bears in just a moment. Manny, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We have the Hail Mary call in several different languages. We're going to play another one for you next.
The thing about the Colts is everyone knows they would be a playoff team with Joe Flacco a quarterback. It's just it's kind of like you were mentioning with Jameis Winston being better than Deshaun. Joe Flacco should be the quarterback, and they would have won that game.
Well, I mean, maybe Anthony Richardson opened the door up. If he's too tired to go back in the game, maybe Joe Flacco's got better conditioning. He's like 38.
Dude was 10 for 32.
Wait, how old's Joe Flacco? Is he 40
37.
yet?
I think he's 37, 38. I don't think he's quite that old.
39 years old.
39. Yeah, I mean, Richardson cannot hit a pass except for that occasional bomb to Alec Pierce. Like, he's the least accurate quarterback, I think the metrics are this era by a large stretch.
Yikes. 855-212-4227. Manny, thank you. We will get back to what was an unreal finish in our nation's capital. Do that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Ahora sí, Daniels a lanzar a lo profundo del terreno de juego. Ahí está la recepción. Touchdown. Touchdown de Washington. Touchdown. Está adentro.
It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Spanish language call of the Washington Commanders Hail Mary yesterday. They beat the Chicago Bears. Bears had a couple different ways they could have won this game. They could have won this game, Perloff, when they were at the goal line, ready to take the lead, when they decided to inexplicably hand the ball off to a backup center. The offensive lineman, it bounced right off of his big belly, and that ended up coming up snake eyes. And then on the Hail Mary play that you just heard, that amazing call by the Spanish language radio broadcast, Perloff, there was actually one guy, Tyreek Stevenson, who was so busy talking smack to the Commanders fans, he didn't realize the play had started, and he ends up being the guy who tips the ball right to Noah Brown.
Yeah, that was bad. The thing about the fumble by the offensive lineman, that actually, in the long run, almost helped them win the game, because they got this other drive where they completely ran out the entire clock on the Commanders. You thought the game was over. There was a couple plays right before the Hail Mary, too. They let up the sideline pass. It didn't seem like a big deal at the time. They got the Commanders closer. They just gave them 15 yards. They should not have done that. And then they only rushed 3 guys and gave Jaden Daniels about 10 minutes to throw the ball.
Yep.
And then they did everything possibly you could do wrong on Hail Mary defense. So I don't think that was blind luck. I think that was also partly incompetence.
I think it was too. And Matt Eberflus, the coach of the Bears, after the game saying, we practice this all the time at practice. Like, well, where's the proof? You might need to go back to the drawing board on that one, Matty, because it looked like what the Commanders were running on their Hail Mary was perfect. If you've seen, there's a couple people who have broken it down now on social media, on TV, whatever, where it's perfect. You've got one wide receiver who's in front of the pile, if you will, the scrum in the end zone, and one right behind it. So if the ball gets tipped either way, you would have had a wide receiver there to try to catch the ricochet. And it ends up getting tipped behind to Noah Brown, and it fell into his hands like it was a baby. Like it was placed gently.
I could have caught that. Absolutely. Well,
amazing.
I think it's really interesting. I think you and I disagree a little bit. Like, what's your takeaway from that Commanders game? Unless Jaden Daniels is still really recovering from his injury, I kind of came away from that game like, ooh, maybe they're closer to the middle of the pack than I think. When they really blow for blow with the Ravens, everyone said, maybe in a weakened NFC, because 2 weeks ago, the NFC looked like garbage. Maybe in a weakened NFC, Washington's a dangerous team. Now I wonder at 6-2, do they end up closer to sort of 10-7 on the season, which would mean they're 3-5 the rest of the way, or are they 11-6? Like, are they going to easily win this division? It looked like it was their division before. Now it looks like, oh boy, they're going to have to scrap away.
Well, it's the NFC East, so this is the weirdest division. There's always a new winner. I don't know if you can necessarily tell, but I don't know if that's even necessarily where my thought is if I'm a Commander fan. I'm just so happy I'm finally catching a couple breaks.
Oh, come on. Really? Like, you weren't, like, when they were 4-1, they were talking to the NFL. They didn't look like they were catching little breaks. They were killing people.
They were, but their defense wasn't that amazing. And I think anytime you have a rookie quarterback and you are able to stack wins like this and you look like you're moving in the right direction, that's what you want to see.
Their defense has been pretty good.
Last 2 weeks, but they played the Carolina Panthers, and then they just played Chicago again. It's another rookie quarterback, rookie on the road, is always tough. I think you're just encouraged by everything. And you've been wandering in the NFL desert for 20 years with the worst owner and cycling through coaches and quarterbacks who are never the answer. And now you've got hope. Now you've got something. So whether it ends up being wild card round, divisional round, I think they're definitely a playoff team. And all right, maybe you don't blaze through the playoffs. Maybe you do. Even if you don't, I think it's encouraging something to build on. This is what you're looking for in DC.
I don't know. That sounds like a participation trophy where you described.
But there's no expectations on this team at all.
No,
why can't we just enjoy the good times for once? Because there's been a lot of bad times there.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. It's the NFL. Who cares about all that? Like they have an assignment this year to win the NFC East. I feel like they had raised the expectations above that sort of like nice story level to me.
It's still a rookie quarterback, and I know CJ Stroud changed all the calculus about this, but it's still a rookie quarterback. You just want to see progress the first year, and this is beyond that.
Oh no! Their rookie quarterback is top. He's like CJ Stroud last year. He's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. The problems are elsewhere. Like I don't know. Is that defense going to hold up? Is the running game going to be effective? Jay Daniels, if he's standing, is going to dominate.
Coming up, every NFL game in 60 seconds. It's the NFL in 60 next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Cowboys fall to the 49ers. News at 11. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. This one actually was a little closer than the last matchup. Cowboys actually made this a bit of a game. Seemed like the 49ers in the fourth quarter, after a dominant third quarter, basically just started to play this prevent defense, and I think they went a little too far on that because they allowed CeeDee Lamb to score 2 touchdowns, where he was basically just wide open in the end zone. And all of a sudden, San Francisco said, oh gosh, we actually have to win this game. And to the Cowboys, I guess, credit, they had the ball with 3 minutes left to go, and they went 4 and out. 4 passes, none of them successful. That's it. You lose. Good day. And I think the Cowboys' season is over.
Yeah, on the flip side, by the way, Isaac Orendo, I don't know how they fit him in with McCaffrey. Feels like he could be a star. Like a 100-yard rusher a game. He was just gashing the Cowboys, which is a story as old as time.
Yep.
Even if the Cowboys were fully constituted, they can't stop the run. Felt like, I agree with you, the Niners probably should have run away with that. I think Cowboys, I've lowered my expectations so much on them. The fact that they didn't come out and roll over immediately, it was like, all right, Mike McCarthy. You got him going the right direction, because that Lions game was such an utter embarrassment that to come out and at least compete for, I don't know, about 2.5 quarters, that's the best I can do right now with this Cowboys team.
Yeah, just give them an extension. Final score 30-24.
Dude, they're throwing a football to Gavante Turpin, who's 5'8" out of the USFL, is their number 2 wide receiver. Their defense, basically, they're relying on rookies on the defense, rookies on the offensive line. Like, why would we expect any more from this team? Like, what is it that you see? Like, just because they paid Dak a bunch of money doesn't mean their roster's not thin.
No, it's not good. And this idea, though, that they're going to run off and start this run and take something from this game, and all of a sudden we're going to see this 5-game winning streak or something like that. No, I'm sorry. No evidence of that whatsoever. They've been blown out more than they've had close games this season. And even some of the ones that final score looked close, like the Ravens game, we know was not close at all. So to me, this was the stick a fork in a moment. I know the record isn't so egregious here.
This was more of a stick in the fork moment than the Lions loss?
The Lions loss was terrible. I mean, that was checking the temperature of the meat. This was sticking a fork in it. I don't know. It's degrees of just being over. So that's where I think things stand for the Cowboys. EJ, do we have some poll results, though?
We do. So we asked a question earlier in the show, can the Cowboys still make the playoffs? So right now we're sitting at 75% say no, they cannot make the playoffs. 25% say yes, they can.
And the thing is, we were talking about the NFC, right? And is the NFC actually gangbusters, or is there going to be some room here for some mediocre teams to sneak into the playoffs? I don't even think Dallas is going to be one of those mediocre teams to sneak in.
Well, they're 3-4. So let's look at the odds here. Now the Eagles and the Commanders are going to probably win the division. The Cowboys are too far behind. So can they will 9-8 get you into the playoffs? Probably not. And it looks like I don't have the odds. Do you have the odds?
I don't.
Van for me.
But I'll
but
tell
it
you
feels
this.
like they're definitely, it's a long way to make the playoffs. But I do think like 9-8 is possible for this team.
So 4 division winners, obviously, and 3 wild card teams.
Okay.
That's how you make the playoffs. But I'll ask you, It looks more like two teams from the NFC East would be the Commanders and Eagles, at least sitting here today. Two teams from the NFC North, Detroit, Green Bay. Maybe Minnesota also hangs on here. And now Jordan Love has a groin injury, so maybe it's Detroit and Minnesota. I don't know. Well, some combination, two teams out of the NFC North at least. NFC South could get two teams in. Now, Atlanta beat the Bucs yesterday. They now swept the season series against the Bucs, so that is probably a wrap for the division. But Tampa's still sitting there at 4-4. And then I present to you the NFC West. And if you know what's going to happen in the NFC West, then head to Las Vegas right now. Cardinals are 4-4. 49ers are 4-4, Seahawks are 4-4, and the Rams are 3-4, coming off an encouraging win against the Vikings on Thursday night. So
I feel like the Niners have that one. That one, I feel a little more confident.
Well, but they've already lost 2 division games. I don't know.
That feels like of one of the more sure things is the Niners, based on history. I'll tell you one thing. All right, so the Cowboys, by the way, plus 300 to make the playoffs, minus 400 to not make it. So 3-1 to make it. I think the Bucs could be in big trouble without Godwin and without Evans for a little bit. Like, they have a tough run coming up here, and I think the NFC West is just as likely to be bad as to get a second team, unless the Rams really get it together. I'm not scared of the Seahawks or Cardinals at all. So I think there's a possibility. It's slim that 9-8 could sneak in play. It'll probably be 10-7. But 9-8 could do it. I mean, the Cowboys are 3-4. Like, 9-8 is not impossible by any means. And they're getting a lot of people back. And Deron Bland will really be back. Like, they could get a lot of defensive guys back. Maybe the young guys like Overshawn continue to play well. I just wait till they get in the NFC East schedule. Like, what did you expect? Did you expect them to go into San Francisco and win against a healthier Niners team? Were you really look at that game and be like, geez, this is an opportunity for the Cowboys?
Well, if you're ever going to get the 49ers, this was the time. Because, they're healthier, but they're not healthy. And yet, the bottom line is, you're in this game, probably in the fourth quarter, with 3 minutes left to go, and you have the ball. So, win the game. I mean,
but you did have to get a touchdown, and obviously the Niners were protecting against that. They were letting him move.
Okay, but this happens in the NFL every week. And I hate to bring up the contract in times like this, but what'd you pay for? And I know Dak Prescott had a good game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you say, all right, well, he basically won that game at the end of the game, so maybe it's a wash. I don't see it that way, though. You had a chance here. And again, if you're ever going to get the 49ers, this was the time to get them, and instead they got you. And they probably really could have put you away much earlier than they did. All right.
But by the way, what quarterback is throwing to that receiving core with the single worst rushing game in the league is going to do better than Dak Prescott? Not a single one. Not Lamar, not Josh Allen. Like, those receivers stink, Maggie, and you know it.
855-212-4227. Can't argue with you there. Let's get to the NFL in 60.
Maggie and Perloff take you around the league, recapping this weekend's football action. Time for NFL in 60.
All right, EJ, throw out a game. We'll tell you what we think.
Fly, Eagles, fly. The Eagles beat the Bengals in Cincinnati 37-17, spoiling the whiteout in Cincinnati.
I think, obviously, Saquon Barkley's getting all the headlines. Devontae Smith is such a huge part of this offense. When Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown are on the field, it's like Jalen Hurts looks like the same quarterback from before. So health is the big story with the Eagles. Will they keep it? That was just a crazy impressive win to me.
3 straight wins now for the Eagles. 2-0 against teams from Ohio, so good job out of you. What's going on with the Bengals? Remember we heard before the season the vibes were bad? Is that lingering now? Because they've got one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and they scored 17 points yesterday against an Eagles team that is not exactly murderer's row defense.
They need T. Higgins on the field so bad, and honestly...
Then they should have paid him. If they need him that bad, then just pay the man.
Yeah, but if that guy is not going to come out and really be totally available because he didn't get paid, like, that's kind of a quiet... Did you say it's a quasi holdout going on here? If that's the case, like, hey, you're sunk. But when Higgins and Chase get barreling downhill on a team, they're great. That was not the case yesterday. Although Burrow started off like a house on fire. They just made a couple mistakes that killed him.
To quote Jameis Winston, it was that white boy in Detroit that inspired me. Talking about Eminem. It was Jameis Winston's deep touchdown to Cedric Tillman that helped the Browns beat the Ravens 29-24.
When he said that at first, it was that white boy in Detroit that inspired me. I was like, no way he's going to shout out Dan Campbell right now, right?
Or Jared Goff.
Yeah, I was like, wait, Eminem. Yes, that makes a lot more sense. You get one shot. This is a case in point where the team should have listened to the fans weeks ago. Deshaun Watson, no one wants him to get hurt, but it's total addition by subtraction. And for the Ravens, they still had a chance to win this at the end of the game. Their defense is a problem. Kyle Hamilton's dropped interception Perloff will probably haunt them for a while.
Yeah, no, I think the Ravens are going to be fine. Know who's a huge, huge difference maker in being healthy? David Njoku is. I mean, you have to get within 4 feet of him, and he's pulling that ball in. He's a huge weapon. I still think it's too late for these Browns, and they probably should have lost that game. But Jameis was fun to watch, I'll tell you that.
So someone say that watching Jameis Winston be your quarterback must be like watching Uncut Gems. I was like, very accurate. Let's go to Detroit, where Eminem is from. The Lions pounded the Titans 52-14. This game was over before it began.
Well, actually, the Titans came out with some real offense. I was like, oh my God, Mason Rudolph. Like, this guy, like, they should have started. I actually said to myself early in the game, they should have started this guy from week 1, and they might be a playoff team, as you predicted, EJ. And then something happened. The Titans' offense is totally stalled, and the Lions poured it on. They're America's team. Nothing else to say about them.
No, the Lions are amazing, and this could have been way worse, by the way. They didn't score any points in the fourth quarter because they completely let up. This is 52 points they scored in 3 quarters. 3 quarters. This was sportsmanship, winning 52-14. That was them being good sports. Titans, worst team in football? Them and the Panthers? Who's next?
Let's go to Miami, where it was a late field goal. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, bro.
That game was 14-14 at a certain point. Like, that game was a game for a little while.
Last week against Buffalo was a game for a little bit. That's why I hopped on the treadmill and then couldn't get off because I'm superstitious. But the Titans are not a good team.
Titans are good for 10 minutes in the game.
And then they quit.
So let's go to Miami, where it was a late field goal for the Cardinals that helped put Arizona ahead of Miami 28-27.
I mean, I think it's really nice of Miami to treat opposing quarterbacks this nicely. Everyone talks about Tua's health, and everyone talks about Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle for good reason. They're exciting, but they've been trying so hard to actually create something on defense, and it's clearly not working. They are a rebuilding team with no chance to rebuild it because of the way their contracts are set up, and there's nothing good coming out of this.
Yeah, Tua played well, but I don't know where this is going. On the flip side, for all the Kyler Murray slander that's been out there, and a lot of it was self-inflicted, but the homework clause and all of that, listen, the guy finds a way in the fourth quarter, and they're 4-4. They're totally alive in the NFC. We don't take them seriously because their defense is not good, but this is a big win.
I mean, I would say this is they're 4-4. I'd say 3 of them are miracle wins. Like, they obviously should have lost this game. Like, if Miami had any real quality, they were up 10 in the fourth quarter. You could see the slow collapse of the Dolphins defense. And then Arizona definitely shouldn't have beaten San Francisco, and they probably shouldn't have beaten the Chargers.
They're outlasting these teams, though, and I feel like Kyler Murray is a big reason. I think he tires defenses out.
Is this design or, well, I mean, the schedule hasn't been tough. Is this design, though, or is this luck? That's what I think. I'm very curious to see. That's a team I actually will watch now in the 4 o'clock window because there's nothing else on.
Okay, let's go to New England, okay? Man, I don't even know where to begin. But no Drake May, no problem, apparently, for the Patriots, who beat the Jets 25-22.
There's a stat about this. So they let up 247 yards and had no turnovers. They're the first team to lose in the Jets in that spot ever in the history of the NFL.
Amazing.
It was a creative loss.
I'm sorry. For Aaron Rodgers to say we've got to just make peace with the darkness or we got to be in the darkness, I mean, just stop. Just stop. It's over. Stop with the sayings and stop with the silly stuff. It's just over.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
I'm sorry, EJ.
Let's go to Tampa, where the creamsicle uniforms were not enough for the Bucs, who lost to the Falcons 31-26.
Crazy game, as we would expect. Any NFC South game of this caliber is going to just be absolutely wild. The fact that the Buccaneers were still able to mount a comeback here, I thought they were winning this game. I really did. It's a credit to the Falcons being held scoreless in the fourth quarter, but still being able to hang on. That defense might not be bad, bro.
Which one? Atlanta?
No, I think Falcons is a little bit better defense than we thought.
Yeah, that game was wild. What a shootout. How many crazy, weird fumble plays. Baker, still big numbers. I just don't trust the Bucs now that they don't have their offense. Bucky Irving, by the way, had one run that was totally sick. I love that guy. I feel like, as I predicted, Atlanta is going to win this division.
You were right about that.
Let's get down to Jacksonville, where the Packers lost Jordan Love, but still won the game 30-27 over the Jags.
Yeah, by the way, Malik Willis, my favorite player in the NFL. And I just love the way this Packers team plays. I think they're fine. Like, remember, they were gangbusters coming in the second half of last season. They really picked it up. Josh Jacobs looks sensational. I think the Packers, that's a big win considering Jordan Love got hurt.
Yeah, I mean, the Packers won 4 in a row now. Big win against Jacksonville. Losing Love, though, a groin injury where Matt LaFleur is saying it's definitely serious. And we're not sure.
He was playing with it. I mean, they didn't pull him out of the game after the injury happened.
No, he eventually couldn't protect himself, they said, and he had to take himself out of the game. And the reason why I think this is serious is because you've got the Lions game looming now. It's coming up this upcoming weekend. And so that's huge because this is your first of 2 with the Lions, and this is the one in Lambeau. So you want to win the division, you've got to win these games against the Lions.
When did the Packers last win the Super Bowl? Well, they were a wild card.
That's true.
I'm not scared of that.
It was two TDs for Ladd McConkey, who helped the Chargers get past the Saints 26-8 at SoFi.
We haven't talked about this game yet. Well, why can't the Chargers block at all? Was this really... The final score of this game is not how this game went. This was the Chargers pulled away late, and I know because I had bet on this game, so I was watching it particularly closely. And for some reason, the Chargers' offensive line, Perloff, was getting overwhelmed by the Saints' defensive line. I didn't understand it. I thought the offensive line for the Chargers is supposed to be the secret sauce here. They got multiple first-round draft picks on that line. I know one's a rookie in Joe Alt, but still.
I find something about the Chargers interesting. Like, Justin Herbert, they complain about the hits on him, but he just will not go down. So it's like a weird one. Like, do you call roughing? Like, he will never, ever, under any circumstance hit the ground. So guys getting shots in there. So, of course, the Chargers looks like they're having wins. I don't see Herbert staying healthy anymore. Like, wasn't he limping around at one point, they say?
At one point, one of the Saints defenders literally takes his leg, and it looked like a move out of EJ's WWE. Like, just rip. And then, then the Chargers offensive lineman got all over him. But
then, like, 5 plays later, Herbert broke a tackle in the end zone. Like, he didn't care. He's just like, I'm bigger than you. You're not taking me down. So I think he might want to get rid of the ball a little bit.
The Bills make Maggie want to shout. They beat the Seahawks 31-10 in Seattle.
To be honest, didn't see this one coming, that it was going to look this easy for Buffalo. But a couple things. Keon Coleman is really adjusting nicely to this Bills offense, and they ran the ball well. The James Cook-Ray Davis combination is exactly what you want 2 running backs to be. Cook is kind of the shiftier guy that they can give the ball to a lot, and Ray Davis is like the bowling ball guy. And Josh Allen threw his first interception of the season, but ultimately it didn't really hurt them too much.
Yeah, there was a great 2 plays. Seahawks were at the goal line. One snap went a good 15 feet over the quarterback's head. Then they got back down the goal line, and they had 4th and 1 at the 1, and Geno Smith took 1 step back, and the same center stepped on his foot, fell down. And the Seahawks feel like I mentioned earlier in the show, have real trouble lining up and calling a football play.
Geno Smith is 6'3". You're right. That ball went so far over his head. I couldn't even understand the launch angle on that thing. How'd you get it so high up over his head?
Bryce Young returns to the line for the Panthers, but it didn't make much of a difference as the Broncos beat Carolina in Denver 28-14.
Has there ever in the history of the NFL been an easier schedule than the Denver Broncos? I actually don't even have it in front of me, but every time, 5 o'clock, hey, let me check in on Bo Nix and the Broncos, and they're playing one of the bottom 5 teams in the league. This is incredible. They're going to make the playoffs and be a 17-point underdog in the wild card game.
Well, the party might be over. At the Ravens, at the Chiefs, then the Falcons, the next 3.
Falcons are okay. Falcons got blown out by the Seahawks.
That's true. The Sean Payton trick plays, though, you're right. Yeah. I mean, he is really not making any friends on this second tour here as a head coach.
Yeah, but guys winning. When you win, you can do anything. I just don't know how good that team is. It's really weird. There are a couple plays where Bo Nix will look like a pro quarterback, then he'll make a terrible play.
Chiefs beat up on the Raiders in a game that was way more competitive than we expected, 27-20 in Allegiant.
I am shocked that the Raiders made this such a game because they had talked so much trash, and I thought the Chiefs were going to try and pour it on, but the Raiders were right there.
Yeah, rivalry game. They had talked a lot of smack about Mahomes, but you also saw DeAndre Hopkins had a couple big catches, exactly as we predicted. Just a sideline, keeping drives alive, everything that we thought he was going to be. It's not a big volume of catches, but he'll be making impactful plays, probably not lighting up the stat sheet. Chiefs win again.
Feels
Chiefs
like
undefeated.
Kelsey's right? Like that storyline's gone.
Yeah.
He was really good yesterday.
Let's go to the game of the weekend, Commanders, Bears.
Here comes the Hail Mary with the game on the line. And the ball is caught! Caught! It's a miracle! It's Noah Brown! Oh my goodness! This town is going crazy! It's a madhouse in Landover, Maryland! He did it!
Unreal finish. Unreal finish. The Hail Mary. Controversy about what it should be called.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Caleb Williams was having one of the worst NFL days you could possibly have, then got hot at the end. Like, who is Caleb Williams? I'm very curious moving forward.
Well, he's a rookie quarterback playing on the road. You know, I think that you're going to get a little good, a little bad. Yeah, he's 10 for 24, 131 yards. It's like, it's not a standout stat sheet day.
All of that was late in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, is he closer to Bo Nix or Jaden Daniels? That's what I'm not even sure about yet. In that offense, like, he's never going to have huge yards.
Probably not, but he's got some weapons. I think he's closer to Jaden Daniels if you're asking me that question, but one of the all-time two boneheaded mistakes that the Bears made, one on offense, one on defense. On offense, handing it to an offensive lineman at the goal line, trying to get cute when you are in position to take the lead late in the fourth quarter. And then the second boneheaded decision was on the defense, where Tyreek Stevenson is too busy talking to Commanders fans, doesn't realize the Hail Mary play has started. Jaden Daniels had already run 3 laps by that time. And then he's the one who ends up tipping the ball directly to Noah Brown.
And finally, the QB that ran out of gas and the team that proverbially ran out of gas, the Colts lose to the Texans 23-20, 285 yards passing for C.J. Stroud.
There was a big play where a big guy in the Colts got a fumble, ran it back for what looked like a touchdown. Everyone thought it was a touchdown. They said that he was down. When he got the fumble, Joe Mixon brushed him. I do not understand how the Texans keep winning. Explain it to me, Maggie Gray.
I don't know. They're not a great offense, but they win these games. And, credit to them, because they should have been up by way more in this game, but they're just not. Stephon Diggs ends up leaving the game with a non-contact injury. Obviously, they missed Nico Collins.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even judge them too much without Nico Collins, who's their 1A receiver. They're a different team when he's out there. So he's going to be, they were saying during the telecast yesterday, he's going to be back. So,
but this is not a CJ Stroud MVP situation like what we thought going into the season. Now, listen, they could be there for the Super Bowl. I'm not discounting that. But the other part of this, too, is Anthony Richardson. What do you do with this guy now? So Anthony Richardson is not only inaccurate, he has very little awareness of game situation, and he took himself out of the game because he was tired.
Well, you got to play him, though, to see if you have anything. Like, you could, you might win 9 games with Flacco, but you can't just, there are plays that he makes that are really crazy. Like, his arm is insane. It jumps off his hand. You're right, he's totally inaccurate, but you got to play him. What, are you going to bench him for Flacco now?
I'm just wondering, are you trying to develop him a little more behind the scenes? I mean, his rawness and how green he is just shows constantly. 855-212-4227. All right, that's the NFL in 60. We get back to your phone calls. Any game you want to talk about, up for grabs. We're trying to cover everything after a busy weekend. Coming up, oh boy, it's getting bleak for one team. We'll tell you who next. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
What the is Aaron Rodgers up to today?
All right, welcome back to Maggie Perloff. I was wondering, the Jets-Patriots game felt a little buried yesterday at 1 o'clock window, right? I was thinking, like, it feels like Aaron Rodgers is just an afterthought. That game was so bad. I thought the Jets were going to win, but if they know exactly what's going on here this season. Like, they had to know Greg Zuerlein had no confidence in kicker. Like, they just had to know it. And halfway through the game, it's like, oh, crap. They have to game plan around him, and they have to, they needed, Rodgers, I think they thought they had the game won and took their foot off the gas and let the Patriots, of all teams, sneak back in that. Should have won the game, obviously. One of the many games they should have won. and they lost. But afterwards, I guess Rodgers, as you'd expect, was a bit prickly, Maggie.
Yeah, Rodgers, man knows about the darkness, which Jets fans are now living in again. Here's Rodgers on making peace with the darkness.
Yeah, I've been in the darkness. You got to go in there, make peace with it.
All right, Batman. If you're asking me what the bleep is Aaron Rodgers up to today, I would suggest drugs. This is the time when I would advocate for it because I'm not generally someone who advocates for drugs, but we know he's taking them anyway. This could be the time to take a little more, maybe dial up the dose because nothing's getting you out of this version of Jets hell is a very different version, a different darkness when it's the Jets. This is not some fun Costa Rica vacation where, you sit around with a tea ceremony and get out the,
I'd rather fight Bane than be on this Jets team.
Okay.
It's so bad. You're like, yeah, and Greg Zuerlein, the kicker, sure, he needs to not be on this team anymore. You're right. But Aaron Rodgers was hailed as the guy who was going to fix everything. And you know who told us that? Aaron Rodgers.
Let me
and
ask you a question.
He hasn't fixed jack.
Let me ask you a question. If you're the Jets, would you not bring back Rodgers next year? Or would you try? I don't know how exactly you do it. Like, are you committed to next year?
Definitely.
There's only one way Aaron Rodgers could make this all right, is if after the last game of the season, he grabs the mic, walks into 50-yard line at MetLife Stadium and says, "Thank you guys for your time here. I'm officially retiring as Jets quarterback in the NFL." That's the only way he can make this right. He has only brought misery, suffering, pain, everything imaginable to this situation since he stepped foot into that facility. And I don't know how it could get worse than it already was. Somehow it has.
Your
Thank you, Aaron
touchdown
Rodgers.
favorite in Foxborough and lose.
Thank you, Aaron Rodgers. I'll be waiting for your retirement speech. A bated breath. That's the only time I'm going to have any joy with this team anymore.
You understand he's throwing 35 touchdowns somewhere next year. Because did you see him at the end of the yesterday's game? Did you see him limping? Openly limping. Like, he's not trying to hide anymore. That dude is not healthy. And he will be healthy in a year, and he's going to play till he's 45 years old. I'm telling you, Rodgers is going to chase this thing.
Okay, but here's the thing, EJ. You want him to retire. He's got Devontae Adams there. You've got Lazard. You've got Hackett. Head coach has been fired. You didn't save his job. I mean, this whole thing is all circling around Aaron Rodgers. He's the sun, and everyone revolves around him. My question is, so Hassan Reddick, so that's what it's going to be? Number one. Number two, why is the defense so much worse?
It's not. I don't think it's ever really been that good. Now, Jermaine Johnson getting hurt, I think that ended the season. I think people didn't realize just how much thin they were on that defensive line. So I think the Jermaine Johnson injury they haven't overcome, and it's an overrated defense that's declined. CJ Mosley is hurt. Sauce Gardner. If that guy gets voted for an all-pro team, then I want to go to the Radio Hall of Fame next year, okay? Because I never seen a guy do less, get more praise than Sauce Gardner. I mean, he wants to work on his golf swing. He's going to have playing time. He should start mid-season. The season's already over. Might as well hit the links right now, Sauce. Go out there, get that swing ready. You're going to have playing time because you definitely ain't playing in the playoffs.
Wait.
I mean, Kayshon Boutte couldn't catch a cold in the North Pole, and he still burned Sauce down the field for a key play.
By the way, you realize how bad the Patriots' offense was. Like, they didn't do anything. They didn't move the ball once, except for the 2 drives.
I don't know. Jacoby Brissett looked nice and comfortable.
Yeah, he was going band for band.
They passed for 130 yards in the entire game, and they couldn't really run the ball either. I mean, the Jets' defense played easily well enough to win. Easily well.
But they also allowed the game-winning touchdown. Oh, touchdown or field goal? Touchdown.
No, touchdown, yeah. Which that's the funny thing about this game, too. I also don't think that was a touchdown. I also think Garrett Wilson probably caught that ball, and I don't even care. I don't think any Jet fan cares. Because I watched those plays and I'm like, oh, his elbow was down. Looks like he didn't get in. And then Garrett Wilson's on the ground, the ball, and then the guy knocks it out already when he's down. I was like, that looks like a catch. It's like, you know what? They don't deserve to win this game. They've done nothing to win this game. They can't execute anything. They can't execute a 2-point conversion. They can't pin the punt on the 1-yard line. The guy's standing right there. The ball flies right over his head. And my friends are sitting there watching me watch it. They're laughing at me because I'm like, my team can't execute anything.
Well, how about you score a touchdown at the end of the game, the second to last possession, right? you know you're going for the 2-point conversion. How do you get a delay a game on that? I mean, it is just, and that's Rodgers, EJ. That's Rodgers.
They wasted their first 3 timeouts in the first quarter. First quarter, they had no more timeouts. I mean, this is some high school football stuff. I can watch North Bergen High play next week, and they would have a timeout going into the second half. They wouldn't waste them all in the first quarter.
What's your record if you had a good kicker?
It doesn't matter, Pearl.
Well, I mean, why were you going for 2 points in the first place?
Well, they needed to.
Zerline missed an extra point.
He missed an extra point, but they need to go to 2-point conversion anyway. But
you're right. Zerline missed an extra point.
But you know what the problem though, Pearl, is even if they win those games that they in theory should have won if Zerline makes kicks. This is supposed to be a Super Bowl team. What do you see about this team that looks Super Bowl caliber? They were going to get smoked in the first round, or they were going to get just choke at the end of the season, even if Zerline was good. This is not a good team.
Rodgers could barely move 3 feet. What did you expect?
Right. That's the problem.
He's hurt.
Jets would be 5-3 instead of 2-6.
I mean, they've outgained most of their opponents by like 100 yards.
They're so unfundamentally sound, Pearl. Like, good teams, they don't beat themselves the way the Jets do week to week. That's why I can't play the result of, well, if Zerline makes kicks. They're not making kicks because they're not coached well. They get rid of... Right. The guy...
Why break Zerline's leg have anything to do with coaching?
Well, the guy snaps the ball on the first extra point and he doesn't spin the laces. And you already got a bad kicker and you have him kick the laces. I'm like, what do you think's going to happen with Zerline in this win? Like, they do have issues in terms of fundamentals. That's one right there. Like, there's nothing about this team that's done well, and that's why I can't go with if he kicked field goals, they'd be good. No, it just means that they would just collapse at the end of the season like they always do. It would have just delayed the inevitable.
I'm trying to remember remember we had a tarot card reader come, Angela? She's been with us a couple times. What did she say about the Jets?
She said it may start slow, but hang in there. It will be good, but then the end of the season would be like heartbreak. I don't know if she meant this slow. This is like not getting out of starting blocks.
Did she mean 2-6? 2-6, 2-5.
I'm telling you, they're going to be fine in 2025.
Oh boy,
They're getting a new coach.
Don't give them hope, Pearl.
No, I really think we're going to make the same mistake next year. They're going to bring in Ben Johnson or something crazy. Rodgers is going to do this whole thing again, and you guys will fall for it 100%. You're both suckers, just like I am, and we'll pick the Jets to make the playoffs. It's all happening again.
Wow.
It's like an infinite loop.
No, I think it's actually your read on this was the correct read going back to last season, where everyone's really excited about Rodgers before the Achilles, and you're like, no, but it's still the Jets, and you're fighting upstream against a lot of bad history, bad ownership, all that stuff, just mentality not in the right place, putting too much of an emphasis on the wrong things.
I think it's Rodgers. I think you guys are drastically underestimating the state of Rodgers' lower body. Like, I think it's really hard for him to play 60 minutes of football.
You might be right about that.
He was limping like me on the basketball court on a Saturday after that game last night. Like, the guy is really hurt. Anyway.
Let's get to Manny and the headlines. Manny, what's up, sir?
Did you guys know baseball is still a thing?
Oh,
so
yeah. Yeah.
Say
ahead.
it. No,
I think the baseball game outrates the football game tonight. I'm being dead serious. Because
that's not what I thought you were about to say.
What
Perloff said to me in the break, he goes, man, things really turned on New York, huh?
Yeah.
That Liberty Parade really feels like ancient history. Now you got the Jets are in the darkness. The Giants have to play the Steelers tonight, so we'll see how that goes. And then the Yankees are down 0-2 to the Dodgers.
All right, cool. So everybody knows what's happening? Cool.
Wait, what do you guys
Sorry, Manny.
Sorry, Mr. Yankee fan over there.
Sorry.
So Yankees-Dodgers getting huge ratings. Do you think it could outrate? Because I think Giants-Steelers is one of the worst matchups of the season. Like, the odds of getting more than 1.5 touchdown passes are very low. A do-or-die baseball game feels big to me.
Wait, Manny, you've been in with us all morning, and we'll get to the headlines and stuff, but you're a Yankee fan.
Unfortunately.
Well, okay, but, it's not over yet. Who and where is your frustration lying with? Who do you feel like is wearing it right now for the Yankees? Who do you blame the most for being down 0-2?
We only have 22 minutes left in the hour. I mean, the glaring one to me is the hot take. It's Aaron Judge. I mean, the guy he can't hit water if he was standing on the dock in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
That's the largest ocean, by the way. He's been awful. He's just been awful. He looks
Aaron Judge.
That guy has been awful. Looks lost at the plate. For him to go from being an MVP caliber player to just an absolute zero is just so disheartening. It's you need your best players to step up. He's the captain of the team. Derek Jeter would step up in these types of situations. Aaron Judge has not. He's got to wake up. And for him, after game one, to say, yeah, you know what, we just got to get in our zone, this, that, and the third. For him to go out the next day, go 0 for 4 with what, 2 strikeouts, 3 strikeouts, for the entire team to go 1 hit for 8 innings? If it weren't for Juan Soto getting around one, they'd be going into the 9th getting no hit. Come on, man. Additionally, in game 1, Aaron Boone deciding to go with a guy who hasn't pitched in 5-6 weeks.
Nestor Cortez.
Instead of Tim Hill, has a funky delivery, who could definitely, he got the job done against Shohei Ohtani, did Nestor Cortez, great. But I mean, again, I'd rather have Tim Hill in that situation. He's got that delivery. He's got like a 3/4 sidearm type thing going. He was the one that I thought, he was warming up in the bullpen as well, and he decided to go with Cortez. Boone also has to get some blame for this. Carlos Rodon, please keep the ball in the ballpark.
I have a question for you. Going back to game 1, what do you think of the controversial decision to intentionally walk Mookie Betts to get to Freddie Freeman?
I have no problem with it. Get the lefty-lefty matchup. It's baseball. That's what you do. I have no issue with it. But again, I'd rather have Hill out have that matchup against Freeman than the guy who hasn't pitched since September 18th or whenever he went down with the elbow injury. It's not good. Aaron Boone, like I said, Carlos Rodon, Garrett Cole maybe could have done a little bit better. He pitched all right in game 1, 88 pitches. Aaron Boone taking him out early again. Anthony Volpe looks lost at the plate as well. He had been batting so well in the ALDS and the ALCS.
So everybody.
Yeah, it's not.
They said everybody.
Yeah, listen to his evil laugh.
Listen, series isn't over.
Yeah.
The one thing about, I think what people don't understand, though, a little bit is like, oh, Judge is going to hit better in New York.
Yeah, sure.
Because the ballpark is smaller. And I understand that, but you realize he's been horrible in first innings with runners on.
Mm-hmm.
He's been horrible.
Gleyber Torres and Juan Soto are consistently on base in the first inning, and then here comes Aaron Judge, and you can mark up a K on your Bob Carpenter.
But here's the thing, and Perloff, this is to your point about, people being interested in the series and whatever. If Aaron Judge strikes out in the first inning, they're going to boo him. The home field advantage is not, I think, what people believe.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I think you guys are getting a little too analytical. Like, honestly, Saturday night's game easily could have been the Yankees. I feel like the Dodgers are getting loose in the bullpen a little bit. I don't think this is nearly as over.
I said it's not over.
Yeah, I think the overstatement seems a little rich to me.
Man, he's just depressed. Here, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back and do some more headlines with Manny in just a moment. See you guys on the phones as well. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Darkness, my old friend, I've come to talk with you again.
Yeah, I've been in the darkness. You gotta go in there, make peace with it.
You're listening to Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
I don't know. These like philosophical things that Aaron Rodgers is talking about, they just don't land the same when your team is 2 wins on the season and you just went to Foxborough and lost to Jacoby Brissett. Just doesn't hit the same.
You can say whatever. When you win, you can be Nick Sirianni and say whatever you want. When you lose, it all sounds bad.
It all sounds like take a hike.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter what you say. It kind of matters what you do, unfortunately.
Yeah, and so far, Aaron Rodgers not delivering for the New York Jets. We have a poll out there for you at Maggie and Pearl on X. Can the Cowboys still make the playoffs? That's going to be a resounding no from y'all. 73% saying no, 27% say yes. One person pointing out, yes, mathematically they still can.
They have a huge game. It's Atlanta, right?
Yep.
This week. That's a huge game. Not to make the playoffs, but just to that's a great chance to prove, okay, we're not the laughing stock. Like, honestly, that's where we're at right now with the Cowboys.
Speaking of laughing stocks, before we get back to Manny's updates, Santos is in Arkansas. I did not mean that the way that it came out. Santos in Arkansas wants to talk about the Saints. That's where I was going with this. Santos, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you doing?
We're good.
Awesome. Yes, I'm hoping that New Orleans gets a brand new coaching staff because this particular coaching staff, they suck.
Yeah, they do.
They really do suck. And I'm hoping that New Orleans can at least win 5 or 6 games this year, but it's not going to happen.
Well, you know what? To be honest, Santos, the more games you win, the worse it's going to be because you definitely have to be in the running for a quarterback. Because yesterday, Spencer Rattler was benched for Jake Haener. That's a depressing sentence I just uttered. Now, Derek Carr is going to come back from injury, Pearl, but I don't know. He might mess around and win you a couple games. That can't be better for the overall plan here.
No one on earth knows why Dennis Allen was brought back this year. So Mickey Loomis, I think, is part owner of the team at this point. There's no future here. And his best friends, I think he's the executor of the family will who owns the team. It's a mess. They got to start over. There's no doubt about it. Remember when they were 2-0? That was exciting.
I do.
That was really exciting.
They beat the brakes off the Cowboys.
Yeah.
In Dallas.
Then everybody got hurt. This is really bad for them.
Manny, back to you with some updates. We got a little sidetracked talking about all your gripes with the New York Yankees.
Well, speaking of those Yankees, the World Series continues tonight. Game 3 from Yankee Stadium starts at 8:08 Eastern Time. The Dodgers lead the series 2-0. Shohei Ohtani is expected to play after suffering a minor dislocation of his left shoulder while getting caught stealing in the 7th inning of Game 2.
I don't see him being compromised. It's the left shoulder, which is the back shoulder. So I don't see how that affects his hitting if he's able to go. I really don't.
That was Dodgers manager Dave Roberts. Thus far in the Fall Classic, Ohtani is 1 for 8 with a walk. Walker Buehler, he gets the ball for the Dodgers tonight. Clark Schmidt goes for the Yankees. As for number 99 in pinstripes, Aaron Judge, he's 1 for 9 with 6 Ks thus far in the World Series. He's batting 150 this postseason, 85 strikeouts in 55 career postseason games for big Aaron Judge.
Is that bad?
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, Manny. Wait, so is Ohtani's definitely playing though, right?
That's what Dave Roberts says he expects him to play.
Okay, and they don't expect the shoulder to have any issue because that was a hold your breath moment. The whole series could have turned off of that.
Yeah, very much so.
By the way, our own Andrew Kaplan weighing in the chat, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet says to the Yankees, yeah, you're not playing the trash Royals and Guardians anymore.
Thank you, Cap. Speaking of those trash Royals, their catcher, Salvador Perez, he has won the Roberto Clemente Award. But with that, I would like to talk to you about the Sawamura Award. It's the equivalent to the Cy Young Award in the Nippon Baseball League. And for the first time since 2019, there will be no winner of the Sawamura Award. Now, there are 7 criteria that must be met: 15 wins, 150 Ks, 10 complete games, a sub-250 ERA, 200 innings pitched, 25 games started, and a win percentage of .600. The 5-man selection committee that consists of former pitchers narrowed the field down to 2 men: Shosei Togo of the Yomiuri Giants and Kohei Arihara of the SoftBank Hawks. But according to committee chairman, Japanese Baseball Hall of Famer Suneo Horiuchi, he said, in the current era where pitchers are at an advantage, we would like for them to improve on their performance a little more. So that's why we don't have a Cy Young Award winner in the Japanese Baseball League this year.
Huh.
Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he had won the award the previous 3 seasons. So I ask you guys, could you imagine a year in which we don't give out an award because nobody deserved it?
In America, no.
We will find an award to give to you. We love celebrating ourselves.
That's kind of like, Maggie, you called for a tie in the MVP race between TJ Watt and the best quarterback in the NFL. It's the same principle, except the exact opposite.
Except more awards.
Less award. Right, like give it to nobody.
Right. I always think more is more. I'm a Jim Harbaugh kind of person. More is more, not less is more.
Yeah.
It's weird, though, you have that very specific criteria.
Yeah, 7 criteria. You got to have at least 15 wins, 150. I mean, I guess it narrows down the pool, but just 2 guys
Also,
this year, and they thought, we're good.
They realize that, wins.
Who needs those? 15 wins?
I mean, that kind of depends on the team around you, right?
Very quickly, Monday Night Football tonight, Giants at Steelers. Daniel Jones is on national television again, so on behalf of Giants fans, I am sorry, America. The Steelers look to improve to 6-2. They are 6-point favorites. Back to you guys.
I thought ESPN had a flex on these Monday nights now. Is it just later in the season?
I think it's later in the season.
What's that?
I think it's later in the season.
Yeah, I mean, they should flex this one out. I'm really disappointed. I do not want to watch this game. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, good thing you got the World Series.
I'd rather a better football game to go with the World Series. Do both.
I'm okay with it. It's always the games we never see coming, you know?
Oh, my God.
You don't think this game could be tight? Who are the Steelers blowing out?
It's going to be 15-12, and Daniel Jones is going to throw 2 picks. Russell Wilson is going to, I don't know what he's going to do. Yeah, I'm curious. I really have no idea.
Russell Wilson?
And by the way, Fields got hurt last week. I didn't even realize that. Did you guys hear about that? I don't even know if he's going to dress tonight. It's a hamstring injury. So if the Giants' good defensive line gets to Russ, that could be ugly too.
There's a million reasons to watch the game tonight. Plus World Series, Pearl, you're crazy. Man,
I like a little offense, Mag. You know that.
That's true. EJ Stewart, thank you so much. Thanks to Nick Theodoro. Thank you to, Manny, I already said thank you to you. Andrew Kaplan as well. Guido's Coffee Drinkers. See you tomorrow.